Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Live broadcast of the Richmond Challenge, part of the Zwift Classics 2021. We are out here for 3 laps for the C0s and 2 laps for the C3s that we'll be covering out today. Nathan Garrett, Dave Toll next to me. It's a very difficult course. Lots of punchy climbing up front and right from the get-go. Riders are going to be taking on that 23rd Street climb. And the men, well, it's kind of a mixed category a little bit today. A little bit change up to the AutoCat system to give the women some competition as the numbers have been a little bit lower. So mixing in with the men, but the results are separated. They do start in separate pens, but then join up together and hammer out the course. So they're out on course actually for the C0s here, Dave. I'm excited for the course. So let's take a quick look at it and take us through. This is going to be 49K actually for the duration of this Richmond Challenge for the reverse UCI course, though, Dave.
Yeah, reverse is the important word, isn't it, Nathan? As this course is as good as it gets in esports racing. There's a reason why it was the world championship course, and that was because it was extremely selective. You've got a lot to work with out here. 3 laps. And Nathan, I saw on World of Zwift you talking about this, and I thought it was a really valid point. You better come ready to race right from the get-go, as it's kind of a interesting scenario. You let a little gap open in the beginning of the race, and you might never see the front group again with this sort of downhill start. Now, that's not going to be the story of the day. The story of the day is going to be the successive climbs that do extensive damage out here. But let's jump right in with the front of the group.
Yeah, there's going to be Tunyonen. It looks like here Finland hammering on the front. Finland Zwift Racers FZR in the name there. Chain Gain looks like trying to shut things down. So we're right on into it here. And the first climb, we're going to see there is a fastest segment award out there as well as first across the line for this 23rd Street. They got a little bit of a gap here. Will we see a punch over the top? It doesn't look like anybody's going to take it down from Nonin there out of Finland. There's as the times come on through. 134.9 is going to be the time on the day to be watching out for. Maybe somebody a little ways behind might try and go for that solo, but I don't think so at this point. The C0s, everybody's going to be hanging out on at this point. Now, this section, of course, is what we talked about a little bit in the world of Zwift, rolling through with some speed and waiting to kick, using the group to use this speed as best as you possibly can. And right here, as you head into this, I'd say it's probably going to bump up to a solid 20% actually for a moment there. And that is really the time to go. And you can see the ones who have done their homework. It's going to be Budge. And I'm going to give it a shot at this Vandeman Garden there. Followed by, well, Juiced actually from BL13 off the front a little bit here. Using up that drafting power up. And that's most likely because he wants something else, Dave.
Yeah, I would agree. Dump that and hope for better. Petri Tionunen, the Finnish rider there, Nathan, is going to be a great example today of riders coming out of the woodwork for us. This course will always be selective, and I have a feeling we're going to learn a couple of new names. There's some familiar ones as well, Nathan, when you look like Joseph Chodek, Zach Nair racing today, Kenny DeVries as well. So we've got some of the usual. I should shout out Portugal here. Rui Miguel Abrantes is taking the start, 13.8 watts per kilo over that 15-second power duration. And it's going to be critical out here that you can make those numbers as we drop down. It's so bizarre for me, Nathan, watching riders going down Libby Hill. But here we are at the front of the group. And things do kind of settle down a little bit. Going to be continuing as you just kind of flip it in your mind and remember now it's going to be a bit of a downhill run all the way to the U-turn where it gets flat, and then we'll start climbing our way back up to Broad Street.
Look at how things have separated immediately, though, here.
Yikes.
Back to 30th place now at this point. Dirt Fury not going to see the front end of this race again. Those who do have a chance, it is going to be Hems. And as you said, this new rider out of Finland, it looks like he gave everything he had, though, to grab those points. But I think maybe was a little bit taken back by the level of effort that he had to put out to get that gap. And then the speed coming through that climb up 25th 25th/Franklin. That's the other side of Libby Hill, the backside of Libby Hill. There's a lot of speed you have to carry through into that climb. And if you lose your momentum at a 20% gradient moment, you can go backwards real quick. So I think, a lot of people on the front of, after the descent off of the 23rd Street, I think a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of momentum that's carried through that flat. And if you're on the front and you're pushing 5 watts per kilogram, you've just wasted a ton of effort. And those that behind might just roll right on through on the 20% grade. And I think that's what happened here.
Zwift craft, Nathan, is huge on a day like today. Understanding the course, the way, I mean, having that high level of knowledge is really a massive advantage, more so out here than I think on a lot of other courses that we race on as we jump back in. So we've seen some heroic rides through this course really brings it out as well. Typically, I was thinking of Leonard Tugel's, his win out here, a solo attack that got it done. Although, again, the differences, Nathan, racing on this course reverse versus going forward, how significant do you think they are?
I do think it's pretty. I mean, it's almost like racing it is kind of like racing a little bit of a different race because of the reality of the way that these are climbed. As you can see here, as they jump into that same climb that we saw the separation on. Um, Libby Hill is climbed a little bit more steady than you're seeing with these just absolute punches here. Where, I mean, I shouldn't say steady. I mean, Libby Hill doesn't feel very steady, but it is a little bit longer before you hit a flattening out. And so, and these come at you, it's a little bit different, these two punches, because Libby Hill, it's steadier. Then you get this kind of long grind down over to 23rd. There's a little bit of time to recover, and then you can punch over 23rd. You hit Governors, though, a little bit quicker than you hit East Main. So the succession of climbs is just really, really different. This is where you're gonna punch twice, really hard, twice in a row. They come one right after nothing. There's almost no time whatsoever between the two climbs on this reverse. And then you're going to have quite a long time to regroup, and then you're going to hit East Main up over the top. The interesting thing about that is I get the sense that this tends to separate things out a little bit more, a little bit quicker. And I really do think it's that very, very sharp climb up and over 25th/Franklin that we just watched these riders go through that tends to separate things a little bit quicker because of that quick succession, because of how steep it is. Then on the back end of the course, though, it's a little bit the same when it comes to having those flatter sections. There's not a whole lot of change there. The only change I would say is going to be, not really, because East Main, along with Governor Street, is essentially the same thing. You've got a long, steady climb followed by, will somebody punch it over the top and try and get away? And you see that almost every single time. Long, steady climb, people are at limit, and then over the top of East Main, a punch into the Broad Street sprint. Somebody might try and get away. Same when you're coming over the top of Governors into the lap. And we've seen that a lot of times. We saw that at one of the first esports events ever. Justin Pierre-Vicati breaking away, winning the race just barely with a lap to go. We saw last night, or early this morning, Cutler trying to get away over the top of East Main. Almost made it happen, and then got swallowed back up with a lap to go. So definitely a little bit different when it comes to the climbing. Very much the same when it comes to breakaways onto the flats.
Taking a look now, this should be our C3 group. Started a little bit later as we'll be jumping back and forth between two different races out here today as these guys now, again, super selective. That sector that they've just been through, things, wouldn't say they really settled down. And you certainly, if you've got an advantage, you certainly want to roll with it here as we take a look at Smith, Miles, Holt and company. Not a large group, though, Nathan. We're down to, less than 10 riders rolling here. It's hitting pretty hard early.
Yeah, splitting very quickly. And we saw that this morning as well in the New Zealand race. A very quick split. NZ Bro was out there versus the Aero team. We also had some cryogen riders hammering away. But here in this C3, it's going to be Smith, Chris G from the Herd team, and Miles Meyer from WTRL. Has a Chinook, some new country flags I'm seeing out here that I have a little bit unfamiliarity with, actually. a coalition rider. Always good to see the coalition hammering
Huh.
out here as well today.
That
Madsbang
the
Anderson, though, and Morrison Steinman in the other race on the attack over East Main. We said that this was going to be the main place that we were going to see a lot of these attacks because there is a lot of people going to be at limit, and this is where you can pick up that speed and grab some time.
is that Chris Greenland that you're looking at the flag for there? I've never seen that flag
Yes.
before. Yeah.
Yes.
We will begin our investigative process here. I was thinking, Herd rider who's up here having a strong day. This is going to be one of our Kirkmeyer riders, Jan Steinman, who we've become quite familiar with. Monster rider, and he's going very early again to help give some perspective here. 49K of racing over 3 laps out on the Richmond World's course. Richmond World's reverse as Richmond Classics underway. Nathan, I loved this. World really is significant in the timeline of the history of Zwift's growth, isn't it? During the early going, a nice time again to shout out our man Charlie Eisendorf. Charlie was talking about pre-Worlds. This was 2015, late September of 2015. You were on Zwift and beta at that point. There was some very forward thinking to get this course, which has really remained one of the most popular race courses in the esports platform, and off a solid run for the World Road Championships, which is returning to Flanders, Belgium this year. Now that we've wrapped up the 2021 Olympic road portion, although track's still well underway, this is to be taking a look at the riders up here in this front group, because this selection, Nathan, there's no reason to think, well, actually, so I guess when we look at it, we're going back now. This is a larger group that you've got on the front, but still a selection.
Yeah, it does look like we do have it all coming back together here at this point. So solid little kick there that we saw from the rider off the front, but Juice now brought it back together. It was Steinman who was off the front just a moment ago, but unable to hold on.
Yeah, and Gareth Just here is a rider that we'll certainly be watching for here today, flexing there in the early going as we pick up the vanguard of the race right now. Get a chance to do a little bit of inventory. There's certainly some sorting that goes on here in the early going. This is such a strong field. So we've got a long ways to go. There's no question they'll be attacking this group. This is exciting. I love a race there with this many quality riders that are looking to have their day. And there's a quality team that I see you've found, Wahoo Lacole, and always going to be looking to see what kind of numbers that they've got. The Portuguese squad, Veriatas, is with us again. We were talking about them last week, a team to watch. Kirkmeyer as well, but certainly Wahoo Lacole, Paul Hamlet company, always a team that brings it. Will Budge on that squad. Yeah, they've got quite a few top rank riders here. Jerry Schultz, Bas Seldrick as well. So watch out for Wahoo Lacole today. Not just
5 riders in this main pack, actually, all from Wahoo Lacole from what I can see. So they've really got the numbers to play games if they want to here. Russell making his way toward the front by Juice there. Juice from the BL13 team, he actually had a teammate in the New Zealand race with Daz Carter, who was in it for the sprint at the end this morning, unable to hold on, but we thought he was the one to win. Went a little bit too early and ended up second across the line. It was a lot of cat and mouse games, though, this morning. We'll see if we have something similar. So BL13 looking to try and take down a better spot than the second on the podium in New Zealand race this morning.
How big was that group that went to the line?
4 to the line. It was 4 to the line, actually. So
sounds about right
really
for this course,
down.
to tell you. Right. You want to talk about what's the over-under on how many riders are in that final group? This is the kind of course that you see riders winning alone on, much more than you'd see on average. Looks like we're going to jump back now. Vyasanen there on the front. Again, we have a lot of racing going on out here today. Zwift Classics has arrived in Richmond for the Richmond Classic. And seeing now some of the riders again. This is your Eastern Europe C3 that we're looking at. That's Melanie Dobbins here of TBR Racing, another very popular rider out of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, Dobbins making the front group here. Solid effort here from her. and amongst the boys. So Dobbins looks like she's going to be competitive and really, really great to see. We are seeing come in boys. I was pulling for the team. We're seeing also from Yila. So having a little bit of fun here. It looks like as they mix it up. And I think we do have 3 women that have made this C3. A little bit of punch on the front, though. It looks like Spencer from Rhino trying to make something happen. Not sure that that's going to go anywhere. Miles is going to be a left-hand turn real quickly here into the sprint section. It comes at you that you already need to be going really at this point. And it's going to be 4.0 here coming from Miles. Dobbins now leading things out a little bit. Feather power up there coming from the herd rider. Spencer, though, from the Rhinos are going to come up over the top and take it down. Now, that flag, from what I'm seeing here from Chris Greenland, he was actually letting us know that his, with the last name, that is that the
It is Greenland
flag? I believe it's the Greenland flag, which I've not seen before.
So I believe this would be sort of like our Antarctica discussion, where Greenland is, I believe it's Denmark, is the governance there. Like they would use Danish. Well, yeah, I'm thinking that they used the Danish kroner. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to guess that that is Greenland, but that's not an actual country, if you follow.
Greenland is an autonomous country within the Kingdom
It
of
is.
Denmark, from what I'm reading
okay.
on a Google
All right.
search. But
So I'm kind of right on that.
yeah, within the Kingdom of Denmark.
Maybe sort of like the Vatican inside of Italy. Although the Vatican might be its own nation as well.
I have no
Here we
idea
go
how that
again
works.
with the nations talk. Grab a cup of coffee and enjoy. Well, it's one of the exciting things about this racing, Nathan. When you look at our leaderboard at any given time, it can be filled with every nation, a lot of European, obviously, as we're in European East now, but you might see a Japanese flag and a flag out of Asia or South America pop up every now and then out here as well. Taking a look, though, at a very select group. This is Andrew Spencer of the Rhino Racing team. And they're pushing hard right now as they make their way through the first quarter of this 49-kilometer race out here today. 3 laps on Richmond reverse.
Gonna be Roman Kazachnuk hammering away here as well. He's got 92 races as a B rider. It looks like jumping into the world of Zwift racing all the way back in 2019. So he's been around for quite a while. Can you name the country flag there? I admit 100%.
That's funny,
TV.
Nathan. I'm looking at. I was just going to ask if you could. So, boy,
I've got it down. I've got this one down. We're coming out of
your thing
Belarus
up? Do you have
there. Out of Belarus.
Your chart? Belarus.
Yeah, I've got it all going on here for the country flag, so I don't get caught out. That's for sure. Dobbins is having a really good race here. This is pretty solid, as you can see, and they're actually extending their lead a little bit, 27 seconds. But I'm not sure that this CrowdGen rider is very happy with it. He's hammering on the front, really trying to string out a little bit, like it looks like to me.
Interesting. A few of the women, Janelle Yila as well of the Dutch Diesel cycling team, has been punching above her weight. I saw Joe Graham took the start today. Been a long time since I saw. Yeah, exactly. Joe Graham is a leader in that Crush Pod organization. There you go. Thank you, Nathan. Nice find. Always a style maven as well.
We do have a little bit. What hurry up in German we're seeing from Janelle. Janelle is really egging these boys on, saying nobody wants to really push the pace here. Come on, let's go get them. And it's asking what is hurry up in German, as I think she's kind of calling some boys out here a little bit. And
I am loving the sass.
Things down. Yeah, it's really great. And they're actually answering. Jennifer Fravel's answering them. They're having a lot of fun in this category.
That's great.
I'm loving this. This is really great.
You know who would love Janelle would be Kate Bates. She definitely would appreciate that style of racing. Taking a look at, oh boy, I have a feeling the music is getting queued up right now. Lisa Jane, right here, fighting. She could use it. get some energy going. Just 5 more watts. We can close this down. Might be a little more than 5, but that's the mindset we need. Got to give it a little stick. I love the fight in these riders here. As this is why this platform is so exceptional for helping people just find that little bit extra out here. And again, racing is racing, and when they are going, gone like this, it is such a fight. You can see now the pressure being applied. This group is very small early, and that's the name of the game out here in Richmond. It's an OSS situation. Only the strong survive. That's where that phrase was invented I think it was invented in the movie Dazed and Confused, but certainly I was using it back at that World Championship back in 2015 when we saw Dynan and Sagan taking the wins in the elite categories.
Lisa Jane, solid job getting back on terms here from the Rave Crew. She definitely deserves a little bit of
good for her
going down here. But Joe Graham
there
up
it is.
ahead. This is the women's race here, really playing out in front of our eyes actually a little bit. As Graham is 11 seconds up. It does look like Pedro and Frivold here off the front by about 35 seconds ahead of that group. This race ain't over. They've got 2 laps, though. There's not quite as much landscape as you're going to see in the C0, so they're going to have to really pull things together quickly. It's all within about a minute and a half. The punchiness, though, I think is just going to open things up a little bit too much for this lead group to get caught. Wheatley, though, here from Innovation, pushing on a little bit. And perhaps we might see things come back together, but I think it's just going to be the same story as they come over the top of the climbs. Now, for the women's race, though, these are the 2 up front. It's 41 seconds back to Joe Graham. She's got to jump back on terms here with some attacks that came in from the boys she was with here. It's Connolly from Wahoo Lacole, and it looks like Judd there as well from Switzerland. Just a few seconds off the front, and this is going to shatter, and Joe might be going backwards to Lisa Jane and the rest. That's for the race for third, I believe.
Yeah, boy, this one is all over the shop right now. Got to say, Nathan, this is absolutely brutal to look at, and it is very noteworthy, again, that 2 laps of racing for the group that we're looking at right now. So that's a different level for sure out here in Richmond today, though. These groups, shattered is the perfect word, Nathan. Brutal day.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and jump on over in with the C0s again. This is going to be the front group to make their way down Governor Street. It does look like this swelled a little bit. I believe getting back through here.
That's surprising.
We've got a couple of, there's 25 riders here. So there definitely was a catch out here that ended up happening.
That's amazing. It really is. To chase back into this group. Wow. All right. So taking a look now as these guys, again, you just can't ever lay back and feel comfortable on a course like this. You can just feel the speed that they're carrying here. 54 kilometers per hour right now.
Right-hand turn in just a moment here into the 23rd Street climb. We do have on the front Wahoo Cole controlling things a little bit here. A little bit of drafting power up at an odd time, though, in there. Maybe just getting rid of it before he hits the climb and is confident in his ability. A lot of times when you are going all out on a climb like this, it can be a little bit difficult to hit that space bar or hit the power up on the companion app. So sometimes you do see people, if they are not too worried about its advantage, just trying to get rid of it at a opportune time. On the front will be Juice here from BL13, hammering away in the Bicycling Magazine kit that they are using. BZR Speed, solid Sport here now out of Belgium, one of the strongest teams. They've got their new kit in game, obviously, as of this past year. And De Vries, they're followed up by Vandenwingarden. Come over the top. Mads Bang Anderson here. Pio Auto now, though, on the front out of Denmark with that feather power up. A little bit of a power up there with an arrow, but I don't think that's to come over the top. I think that's just to hang on to the kind of pace that Bang is setting. And at 178, this is some pretty solid numbers here coming from Bang here. I've not seen this from him in quite a while, actually. I think some fitness has come around here from Bang.
It's like the first swallow showing back up at Capistrano, as this is Mads Andersen, one of the PO Auto riders, that tells me PO Auto, the sleeping bear out of Denmark, has been awoken. As once you start hearing about PO Auto, I expect to see them back in the WTRL shortly, as well as I think we are getting to that period of really winding things up and getting ready for ZRL Season 4. So Anderson right here up in the front. That's going to get quite a reaction. You can see those power-ups being thrown. Here we go. This is going to be a big moment right now. Hold on here, guys.
Yeah, anybody not able to hang on at this point, it's going to be curtains for sure, as it is going to be Selden
See
off the back.
couple riders already coming out. Yeah.
Williams there from OTR Blurs off the back as well. Morrison just trying to hang on from the chain gang. And Wahoo Lacole now turning the screws at the front. Anderson's going right along with him here. There's another Anderson, actually. So we've got Mads Bang Anderson, M. Anderson here from the Cryogen team. KC now is involved as well. Dutch Diesel, no Team NL, excuse me, with Ripmeister. Now also on a very good selection for a bike that I would say the new Pinarello Dogma that a lot are saying is the good all-arounder, the new fastest all-arounder bike here. Steinman from KC looking to come over the top and take this KOM out, though. And will it cause any more separation getting back on terms? It is going to be Asbe, Johansson, Mateus, and everybody's going to stick around, it looks like. Oh, maybe not. Or is he cracking? Needs to do something now. Or that is rolling away. It can happen so quickly around these corners. Look at this, 1 second, that's going to go to 2 in no time. They're trying to do something. That arrow power-up even being used by Morrison. Mateus here from ODG Kraken, unable to get back on terms, it looks like here, 5.3, but no, wow, look at that roll away with the arrow power-up here. Morrison just going. I think Mateus either had nothing left or kind of just misjudged this, because look at this, 7 watts per kilogram.
That was the most, that 2 seconds there where that power-up was deployed was absolute opportunity to use someone else's power up for your benefit, but just missing the mark. Oh, this is going to be brutal trying to get back on right now, as these guys don't want to give up any gains that they've just earned out here. The ODZ Kraken riders, God, I have a bad feeling, Nathan.
Yeah, it doesn't look like this is going to be happening at this point. No, he's gone. It's absolutely gone. Morrison, even the rider from the chain gang as well. I think he just closed Zwift. He just dissed. I think he was like, well, that's done. I think he just rage quit, like full on. Like that's what they call it. That's what they call it in the regular esports world. You've never heard that term? Yeah. Oh,
no, but chat. I have now. It makes
chat,
total
help
sense.
me out here. Help me out here, chat. It's so a lot of times, like if you've seen any kind of memes around gaming and someone just boom shuts off the game. Like all of a sudden they're just gone from the game. It's just rage quit. They just rage quit.
It totally makes sense. I mean, that's a very, very descriptive term. So this is going to be one of the Andersons. I think that's PO Auto off the front right now. You know, Paul Hamlet's having a super jet out here as well.
French rider.
Ballard. Okay. Wow, brave. 22K in. Mark that on the odometer, as this is when the attack has really registered here. Gone to 5 seconds. Anyone want to go up and join him? Gareth Just might be interested. He's been very active. Jan Steinman as well. Another rider that certainly I've been keeping my eye on. But Nathan, this one's got some legs. Here we go. Really moving into the next phase of this race here. If you survived up to this point, get ready. There's another barrage of attacks coming your way here at the Richmond Classics.
This is where Cutler went this morning. Immediately following the climbs, he took some of that speed into the industrial park area here along the river, and then head up East Main. There was a little bit smaller group though chasing him. It did end up breaking the group apart though, because the reality of the chase was up in the 6 to 7 watts per kilogram to try and bring back Cutler from Arrow. So will we see a similar situation? But I'm not sure Mao's going to have 6 to 7 watts per kilogram over the top of this versus what we saw from Cutler in such a large group behind. So, you know, one thing I do want to point out here is I said it a little bit earlier, but I definitely want to hammer this idea here. PO Auto back at the front of these races making moves. And Mads Bang Anderson, this is a rider that, you know, he very, very strong, I would say, about a year and a half ago or so into the spring of before 2020, actually 2019 winter even, and in the fall. of 2019 going into 2020. Definitely a name that was all over the front of the races. And I have a feeling that going into ZRL Season 4, Anderson here is coming back in with some serious fitness, being at the front end of this C0. So good to see. I'd be watching out for him at the back end of this race, perhaps. Unless that was just a little bit of a kick over a couple of climbs, but definitely a name that's been a little bit quieter until recently.
I think we've awoken the sleeping giant, to tell you the truth. And that's certainly for all the teams out there. You start hearing about the recruitment going on. There's going to be some big announcements coming up. It's very, very exciting time. Nathan, this gap has gone out to 11 seconds. Channeling, you remember that ride from Leonard Tugels, the Belgian, on BZR Sports Solid? He went on to become
in Season 2, Race 1 on this
exactly.
course.
Precisely. And that was a stunner, wasn't it? One of those, a ride where your takeaway is this guy's going to win some major races in esports, and he certainly backed that up. Well, this right here, this is a statement coming from Mallard right now. I'm super impressed. Now, this obviously we've got such a long way to go, but even being able to do this at this point in the race tells me something about your capacity and ability here.
Yeah,
I was talking about it at the top of the show, Nathan.
Dirt. Yeah. Just real. I mean, this climb here on East Main. I mean, this is interesting here. They're kind of letting him go a little bit. I thought they were going to shut this down immediately. Maybe they're not very worried.
I don't think they're too worried. And I wouldn't be the Jacques Greff here, the South African rider that Nathan is queuing up. Nathan, when they're coming down this descent, right, they're moving. I mean, this is 60K plus here. So coming back up, this is a great place to work together to try to actually, right now, when you look at the French rider off the front, now's a good time to let him burn that candle at both ends for a little while here, because obviously he's a strong rider. I'd like to wear him out a little bit, to tell you the truth, if I'm sitting back in this group.
Exactly what happened this morning, actually, with Cutler. Cutler did not have a sprint, but he had a very high watt per kilogram FTP.
So they let him
get away. They let him burn a lot. And actually, you're right. On the downhill, on the other side, on Governor Street, not up East Main, but it was Governor Street downhill, and then the climbs, he was so burnt out that going into the final lap 3 climbs, he lost all of his time and was brought right back into the fold in the same section, essentially, that he got away on. So we'll see if something similar happens here as the kick over the top. They still got him within sight. 11 seconds. It's not a whole lot on this course.
And look at the inventory of this group. Super, super strong. There is so much horsepower back here in this group. It's laughable at this point, Nathan. So yes, sit tight would be my advice if I was directing any of these riders that we're looking at now. Martin Johansson right there. I'm picking up the Swedish rider. That's another name I'd be watching for the finale of this race, Nathan. No doubt about it. And he's been comfortably sitting back in a sweet spot of this group. This is going to be Anderson that we're back in with. Mads Anderson. Throwing some flair in his name. I like the bang with the I don't know what you even call those things, emoticons or whatever.
With the emojis, yeah.
Emojis, yes.
Yeah, a little bit of a sprint here in a moment. As we can see, a lot of times people don't even contest this one because it's so difficult immediately after that climb. They're going to bring back a lot of time. Steinman up in the 15.
Not Jan.
Grab that.
Yeah.
Whew. Nice little kick there. And that brings it down to 8 seconds. We'll see if they back off or if they look to close it down.
I think he's done. I think Maillard is done up there. Well, yeah. I think he's pulling the pin and going to let the group come back to him. I might be wrong here. The advantage starting to go back up. I thought maybe he realized that he's tilting against the windmills out there. Save some cards for later. Matches, maybe a better analogy right there.
Down for 3.9. I think he does see at 6 seconds. Well,
it's interesting. It's hard to tell.
He wants someone to come across. That's what's happening.
He's beckoning.
Yeah,
he's putting an invitation out.
Orange numbers. Yep. Let's go. Don't bring the whole
show
group.
Show me you love me. It's tough because these guys are too savvy, Nathan. They're not going to take the bait.
Back in with the C3s. Looks like Dobbins, Melanie, nice job by her making over the top of the 3 climbs again with this front group.
It's a ride of a
whittled
day
down
today.
A little bit here again. Spencer and Miles have fallen off the pace here, it looks like. So This is going to be the chase of two, the battle for eighth and ninth place. Then a top 10 position is up for grabs in this chase group. But up ahead, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Check.
There's quite a few riders actually here. 7 riders actually still involved at the front end of this race.
Nice to see WTRL, the World Tactical Racing League's Claudio Holmeyer up here in this group. Start looking around now. We were talking about Chris Greenland, the herd rider. Kazachinek, also from Belarus. Nice job on the flag, Nathan. But this group working well together. I think kind of for them, they can say, well, I'm in the group of the winner. Is it going to be me is the question. What's it going to take out here? I would think, Nathan, for these guys, again, this is a 2-lap race. So at this point now, you got to brace yourself and get ready because they will start attacking each other. There's no doubt about that. I have a feeling our winner finishes alone, sure, by a second and a half, 2 seconds, but I still think he's going to be alone today.
What's interesting, you're talking about looking forward to Zwift Racing League Season 4, and the numbers definitely picking up here this week out on the Richmond course. Perhaps for the classics
popular course.
Yeah, perhaps the course, perhaps looking forward to trying to get together and race a little bit, try out the AutoCAT system. There could be a lot of different reasons, but 56 days to the first race of Zwift Racing League as well for the community side of things. So it's a little less than 2 months here at this point. So people starting to think about, okay, got to get our racing legs underneath us, jump back in a little bit here, falls around the corner, and figure out some Zwiftcraft, perhaps, as these numbers definitely coming up from what we've seen in weeks past.
Do your recruiting. 56 days, not that I'm counting or anything, but looking forward to that more than I think anything else this fall. I am so stoked to get back to it. And it's racing just like this, isn't it? That's Claudio Holmeyer that we're looking at now, the WTRL racer tucked right into this group. I know I'm not alone, Nathan. A lot of people, it becomes a big part of a touchstone for the week, the ZRL. We're going to go back across. Is he still out there? No, he's come back into the group. Absorbed.
And definitely got some of the PO Auto, or at least some of the Danish riders, out here letting us know that is the middle name for Mads. Mads' middle name is Bang for real. It actually is too. So loving that. 1.7 doesn't look like anything right now. We're about to head into a sprint though, so maybe the monument sprint is what's calmed things down here a little bit. But there's also another full lap to go, and I think a lot of riders are going to be starting to be reserving things for the 3 climbs in succession to try and break things apart. It'll be the last chance to try and whittle it down. Wahoo Lukolev really got this under control, though. It looks like Steinman going again here from KC, and that's most likely going to be one of the riders they're watching on the day. But Houston, look at this jump here with the boost at 13.5. Nice little kick, but Bang here coming through. It looks like perhaps the fireworks, though. Oh, it's right to the line. I think it looks
that's
like
a back-end API.
Oh, man. That was right there.
Well, that's what so now the question is, long way to go. No reason to carry on, boys, yet. They're going to stall the beans a little bit. Let's go back and take a look at that sprint. So that's going to be Gareth Just there, the yellow jersey overtaking. This is where esports experience really shows you it's not over till it's over, because a massive power surge, sour taste if you get beaten a sprint like this, coming from Mads Bang Anderson, and boy, again, back-end API. I mean, your eyes tell you that it looks like Gareth holds on, but I have a feeling Mads might score. Who knows? Actually, at that point, Nathan, that's a pick 'em.
Does look like it was Boost, but
how are they scoring it?
We'll have to wait and see.
All right.
But a lot of times, it does end up being a little different than what the eye sees there, and the camera angles, etc. But now we are getting some more separation here. Dobbins is hanging on. This is the C3s.
if those two riders, Nathan, were your biggest danger men, would you think about attacking them right after that sprint, a counter right there? Because a
100% on the
vicious
cobbles,
counter,
especially on the cobbles.
yeah,
You
because they
get
got to be
separation
right
on
now.
the
They're hurting a
cobbles,
little bit.
they're unable to get as much of a draft because it does act a little bit like it's not as bad as dirt, but there isn't as much of a benefit quite as much. Just slow everybody down a little bit. So closing down gaps, you got to put a little bit extra. It's like riding through mud a little bit. So I'd be using this section to attack over and over again to whittle things down and put people into the hurt locker. Really, the reality is though, if I were in this group and I had the matches from the top of East Main on, I would just be set just orange numbers every time I had it, and then settling into a high tempo to threshold effort. Um, if I really wanted to separate things, with so many riders in and amongst this group, that would be my goal. The reality is though, because there's so many numbers though from Wahoo Lacole, people might be thinking, well, we're just gonna get shut down. That might be another situation there in that C0 race. So all back together, it looks like here nobody really able to get dropped off. They gave it a little bit of a go over top East Main though in the C3s. Smith on the front here. Now it's going to be Dobbins, amazing ride here coming from Melanie, still hanging tough. A little bit of a punch it looks like coming in from Chris G out of Greenland as he throws down that feather power up and wants these points. Looks like he's going to take them. Nobody really challenging. Just a little kick to hang on, I think, from the other riders.
All right. So, yeah, and I mean, again, now we're looking at a group that might still have in the back of their mind wanting to keep a match in reserve for what's going to be absolutely a frenetic finale. Here's Roman moving back up to the front. Homar having a strong day, very well positioned throughout the last lap, certainly out here.
A little bit of a punch here from Miles getting away from his group that's trying to chase him down, actually. 8 seconds off the front, trying to drop Spencer. Will he get into steady, or was he just looking for fastest through the segment, perhaps? Because he's backed right on
Maybe.
off. The Rhino rider here now looking to come back, but 14 seconds off the front right now. Dobbins may be struggling. Nope, she's still in there, just sitting in. The seconds were not showing us the reality there for just a moment. 7 riders still coming to the line. They are only doing 2 laps, so we're not going to miss any of the action in here. The C0s are just starting, but just about to start their final lap out here and head on down Governor Street. 133 back to the chase group, so that is said and done. This is going to be your main pack, a little over 20 riders coming to the line. Wahoo Lacole with the numbers. Not sure any other team has a whole lot of representation actually here. KC have 2, it looks like.
2.
They've got a little bit to work with.
Looking at that one PO Auto jersey, but that's certainly a rider to be watching out here, talking about Mads Anderson. Wahoo Lacole, though, you see that, I mean, it's one of these things. It is really hard to soften this group up right now, but certainly rolling those dice of attacking with the riders and at least forcing a chase into the race finale. We're still not at that point yet. We're actually a ways from that point. It's a long day out here, 49 kilometers of racing over 3 laps here for our C0 men. That C3 race will be coming into its finale where these guys will continue to soldier on out here. There's the Swedish rider,
Use
Martin
by
Johansson.
Bakken just used an arrow power up. Maybe looking for a feather, perhaps? For over the top. That's quite the dice roll, but they do have 4 banners to go through. I would want an arrow
I think it really
up
shows you the feather is what they're really, really looking for.
for these climbs coming in here. Yeah. Interesting,
Yeah,
though.
I mean, it just seems like that's going to be the one that can really make a difference for you in crunch time.
I would have been holding on to that arrow unless I absolutely, really, really, especially at that moment to use it right there. But I guess he wants the dice roll. He's got a 1 and 4 to grab another one. And if he does grab a feather here, he's got a 1 and 3 for a feather. It's not too bad of a gamble. Would you take those odds?
Yeah, I would.
1 and 3 for a feather to hang on or even attack over the top. Bakken here coming from the Vikings, Norwegian team, always a
Big
very
group.
strong team.
at this point,
It
Nathan.
is a huge group, actually. Very different from
Yeah,
what we saw this morning.
I guess I'm not sure how many riders took the start, but it shows you the depth of quality that we've got out of your Eastern Europe for sure. This really
It
speaks
was
to
about the same actually across. I think very similar numbers too. So definitely right on the money there as far as depth of quality. 73
I mean,
kilometers
look
per
how
hour. Look
many
at the speed.
guys.
74. It gets so fast in this downhill.
There are a lot of riders whose watts per kilogram for the 15-second are over 10. That's pretty much where you've got to be.
And
Mayard's
it's not just
still
for the sprint.
right.
It's not just for the sprint. It's
It's
because
getting
that's
over the
what you have to do
hills.
over the top of the climbs because they're so sharp,
Yeah.
so steep. We're talking 45-second or less climbs here over the top of this 23rd and
It's
the
really
Franklin
not that
25th.
different
What is going
getting
on?
over the.
These are such interesting moments. This has got to be a mistake. What is going on with this power up we just saw used? There was an arrow power up there. Was that going to be Birkinshaw, I believe, using that arrow just a moment ago? And if he doesn't hang on here, maybe he was just suffering at that moment. You know, that's a super tell sign if he just goes right out the back, or perhaps a mistake there, but not a very timely arrow power up at all. Now coming into this 23rd Street.
I mean, it's possible that you misfire. I guess talk about that, Nathan, for folks that aren't actually racing themselves. I mean, you can misfire, can't you?
Oh
Accidentally hit the
yeah,
button.
I've done it once or
So,
twice. You know, maybe 50 times. So
so right. So, I mean, that's not. It's not something that happens all the time, but it's not something that's unheard of. You can see all the feathers being deployed right now.
these are the moves right here. They know this is time to go. This is the
That's
final
nice.
time up over the top
Three.
now. There it goes. Three now in the front now. 186, 187 beats per minute, 566 watts. Trying to make the separation. Now, it's not this first climb that actually makes things happen. It's actually going to be the climb over 25th and Franklin in just a moment. This is just the one that puts the heart up into the throat here at this point. Now, Mallard
This
now
is
going.
the appetizer.
Steinman.
Yeah.
And this is where you get a little bit of separation, the roll through, and the second time toward Libby. That's going to be the reality of who's hanging on and who's not. They're going to give everything they got in this next climb. Full gas.
And just take a look at the grind on the front right now, Nathan. I expect that this splits at least 8 riders out of the group. That gap is looking extremely dangerous right now. Now it's just the follow through right here. So it's like a roller coaster ride through Pain Town right now. Okay, now this is, you went from body blow after body blow. This is the headshot. This is the kill shot right now.
Juice now to the front here. Bakken, we were talking about him. I think he's been really quiet waiting for these moments. But
look at everybody hanging on, Nathan.
9.9 watts per
incredible quality.
Here. This is amazing that this is not splitting everybody here still. And
I'm stunned.
Now coming to the front, 8.5. Little bit of separation here, though. 4 going off the back, 5 maybe going off the back. Just getting back on terms. It's going to be Birkinshaw.
Boy, you don't want to give more than a second. Right, because this is where it's like a rocket ship as they take off going down Libby Hill. So very dangerous. Close it down right now. This is your small window to make a huge effort to get back in.
It looks like Osbey, alongside
These two got to work together.
They're going to make it happen, I think. Well, at least if Grief gives a little bit of kick here, but he's got to do it now.
He should be strong enough. Van den
Behind, though,
here.
It's going 10 watts per kilogram quick coming from Grief, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Look at how fast they descend away. The timing just wasn't there. And if we go back, it's going to be 3 seconds, 4 seconds. We see it happen again.
Even these guys, this little, yeah, you got to shut that down immediately as they did. Cannot play around at the back of this group. Just close it down. Close it down.
I got to highlight something here. Melanie Dobbins just shut down an attack here coming in from Visainen from the coalition. And there were some solid attacks after that last sprint over Monument. They're coming into their final few K here, actually. So we're probably going to stick in with the C3s. We had to see the moves there with the C0s, but this is it here. We've got 7 to the line still. Solid effort there coming from the sole woman rider amongst the boys here, bringing it all back together. She's kind of been the aggressor, actually. Well, not the aggressor, but the one who's covering the moves.
Certainly a contender.
So, yeah, Dobbins, amazing job here.
So yeah, that's Melanie Dobbins that we're talking about. So Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong. The women will be scored separately. It's almost like Unbound Gravel or something, where everyone starts together and the women just try to, ride in the fastest group that you can. That's bike racing. And Melanie right now is the one who's really made the grade over through multiple selections. You can see her. She's right in the middle of your screen. TBR Racing, the Big Ring Racing, punching above her weight out here, making the front group. Not only making the front group, she's not just hanging on for grim death. She's been very active, as you said, Nathan. This is quite a ride today.
Yeah, amazing ride and closing down gaps for everybody, communicating, and we'll see if she's got a little bit of a kick as well. It'll be interesting to see how she ends up playing up against the boys here in this final kick to the line, as this is going to be the final 7 now in the C3s for Eastern Europe. We'll be covering the Central as well as Western here after these finish up for us. We've got half a lap to go for the C0s. This is the final 1K to go, a little less than 1K to go in the setup here. And Holt at the back, looking to just rest up. You're going to see a lot of games here, a lot of very low watt per kilograms moment to moment. Smith now finding himself on the front, a little bit of a punch, but only at 2.0 watts per kilogram. So you can see they're all kind of just looking at each other. A lot of track games now.
It really is. You got to flip in your brain the approach to the finish line out here for our finishing our second lap on Richmond Classics, getting down to brass tacks. And here we go. That's going to be Smith attacking out of the group. Let's see if you can get that couple of seconds that you need. And that's a gap. Yep, here we go. That's going to be race is on, Nathan. Horse can smell the barn.
I think he's gone. I think he's timed this absolutely perfectly. Now, is he going to fade? Kaz in the top now, coming over the top, though. Trying to close it down, 9 watts per kilogram. Actually, this is from way out. This is still like 300
Long
meters at
range.
that point. And with 5 seconds, though, over the main group, it's not coming back, I don't think, but it's going to be between these two. And Kazachnok may make the catch here, but I have a feeling Smith may have a second go at it in just a moment. A little bit of an uphill grind here in just a second. Kazachnok needs to do this now. Hurd, though, now trying to jump. Nope, that's not going to make the catch at all. 2 seconds up still. Homeyer, though, is sprinting for third. It looks like Smith has made it happen. It is done. And
caught him off guard.
Good
that
timing.
Was well timed.
Got the gap.
Yeah,
and
knew what he
gone.
needed to do. Yeah, I'll give a lot of credit there. They say
Dobbins!
Fortune favors the
Dobbins
bold.
for third. Melanie comes across and nips it at the line. What a kick there from Melanie. Nice job as she takes down that final spot. Always cool to see as she sprints it out with
Good
the boys.
job, Melanie.
Yeah, that was solid. Solid kick.
Back in with the front group now for our C0s, and a surprising number of gladiators still in contention. That last barrage that they all made it through really shows you the quality of this front group here, as they're down to 9K of racing out here on their final lap in Richmond on the Richmond reverse course.
Real quick, let's head back in real quick. We got another sprint. This is for the top 10 here. Is Goldoni now hammered away with Monstro. Coming to the line. Testia as well done. Gervaux corner. Now, Miles now
they're
coming over the top, and it's going to be...
Just getting Alberto there.
Yeah. Oh, this is right to the line. Woo, I think that Testia just held it off the Italian. Barely making it happen there, it looks like. Solid ride there. It is going to be second place going in for Freeville, I believe, as she rolls on in. And then third to Pedro. Lisa Jane and the rest for fourth, fifth, and sixth. Does look like Joe Graham was able to hang on and getting in amongst that crew. So solid little battle there. That's going to be the situation. We're going to get a little bit of a jump around as everybody starts to finish up here. Let's jump back into East Main, I think we are on. Are we into a climb here with these boys? They head up this little bit of a 3% gradient. This is about halfway through. It's going to start heading up, but we do have an attack off the front, actually. Missed it a moment ago. Ripmeister gave it a go, it looks like, through the industrial park, and he's got 5 seconds. I don't think this is going much anywhere with that many riders behind, though.
Yes, similar to what we saw with the French rider earlier, where someone's feeling this strong through this sector. This is where you do in the tactical analysis. You start. I'm going to guess that this is a rider also putting out an invitation saying who wants to go with me and ride at this point, because that power of that peloton, especially through this sector here, you can see how they just nail it back like a
Wow, look at
journeyman carpenter right there.
the this
Yeah,
is actually a
bam,
full
little
gas
split though.
attack. Not even looking to
Yeah, here
nail
we
it back
go.
here. They just want to go. They are saying this is the second half. If we
Turn.
want to get away, now is the time. They've got a gap here. Anderson and Mad, Steinman, Ripmeister, DeVere, Budge, Lupiniti here trying to get back on terms. WLC maybe on a little bit of a back foot here. I'm not sure any of the riders have made that break. Actually, one rider has gone. It's going to be Budge. Excuse me, but Lupiniti here now back on terms, it looks like. That's 6 meters. Look at that. They've got to shut it down now.
Absolutely bananas. This is crazy here. We got a long ways to go. These guys are hitting with authority right now. This is going to split the group. All hands on deck, Nathan. This is a major 30-second window in this race. You can hear the panic bells ringing all over the place. Maybe these guys are all going to fight back, but wow, what a moment.
Looks like 3 seconds back to Birkinshaw. Just is off the back. Was not expecting that. So as you can see, nobody safe. Wow. So they're going to
you get caught out at the wrong moment. Yeah, shows you how quickly things can go ballistic out there. So this is going to be De Vries, who's been active. Jan Steinman.
He backed off. It was just for a little sprint again there, it looks like.
Smaller group now, though. You get the feeling they eliminated a few dangerous riders there during that last power surge.
Still time to push too. They could really, that because of those attacks there and seeing that people are dropping off, you can start sensing, okay, this is going to work. We can push the pace here a little bit and continue with the same
got a lot of
aggression. It gets you confidence when you start dropping riders. The confidence about, okay, we can whittle this down starts to really increase, and you want to see one or two come with you. If you got a confidence in your sprint, though, you just want to see it come all back together at this point. You've made it over all the climbs. You do not want to see anybody go up the road.
Tell you what, if you're in this group, now here you go. This is going to be a good example of what I would expect quite a bit of as Mellard, the Frenchman, has attacked again. This time he's going to get some help. Nathan, there's a lot of guys who believe that they've got a shot. That's going to motivate them even more. If you're feeling good in this group, remember that there's a few other riders who are feeling good as well. This is going to be fireworks here in the final 6K of racing. Through the streets of Richmond, very, very active on the front. So it's, again, attack after attack. The counter coming over the top. This one just might be it. Here we go. Is that going to be Johansson? And I believe it is.
Anderson going. Now, Steinman covering it looks like
Cryo.
7.2. This is a serious attack. 400 watts there now, just now 44 kilometers per hour on the uphill. Lupinetti now trying to come across. Let's take a look at the meters. It is going to be 11 meters. They've got the gap. They have to continue on, though. They cannot sit up. Lupinetti set up. They had it, and they didn't sit. They didn't continue. That was the problem there. They had the meters they needed, but they sat up at that moment. Maybe nothing. Maybe just no. I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
no
Meters they needed
legs.
for what, though? Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. Is like, what good is it to open a 3-second advantage right now? That group is still so strong, Nathan. Why burn that match? Unless you can get 2 or 3 guys that want to go all in with you. That's the only way I can see.
World League Zwifters are going now again. I mean, it's left and right.
It sure is.
He's got the meters again. It's outside of 5. Steinman now. Steinman. It's interesting to me that Steinman is on the front at 4 or 5. I would not expect him just to pull everybody back. That's an interesting move from the KC rider because he is so isolated at this point. Why not?
You're hoping that they don't think you've got a chance, right? And that but every time that someone attacks like this, they all seem to respond to, at least, you're right, Steinman has been one of the riders doing a lot of the chasing out here. But nobody getting more than just
2.7. Look at this, 12 meters. It's starting to go a little bit here. 13, 15. This is really where you got to watch it now. And they're starting to back off. 3.5. They're not quite as interested in this attack for some reason. And Pesci here now from the World Elite Zwifters, he's going away slowly. And this is what I was talking about. This slow fade away can happen if the riders are done chasing things down. Now, my tactic, if I were one of the stronger riders in that group, I would not be at the front at all. I'd be watching them get to 3 or 4 seconds, and I would attack full gas as much as I could to go across. They may be thinking, though, at this point, there is a sprint point coming up, and these 2 seconds are going to be shut down so quickly. Last monument here.
We still got a ways to go with the group this size. Just so hard to hold these guys off right now by yourself.
Newt here.
They're just waiting. I mean, look at the way the group is shaped, too. And there's just so much power in reserve. It's like a cat playing with the mouse.
It's all about the sprint. They're going to close it right on down, I think, on the sprint. But then that's the moment, really. Immediately following that sprint here, here's a little bit of a drafting power up. Somebody's just up ahead of it here for a moment to make sure. Now we've got a feather into the sprint section. Steinman going 14 watts per kilogram. This is to go across as well here now. Bang Anderson now sitting on 8.4 or so. He's not really interested in the sprint, I don't think. I think he just wants to hang on, perhaps. Maybe trying to take it down. Look at Petty here going, oh no, what have I done? As the sprint's done, Madly looking to come over the top, perhaps. That's exactly what I would do, and there it is. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Going to be coming around the corner here in just a moment. He's got 500 watts to give 55 kilometers per hour now. Using that arrow power up to continue on. Immediately, he grabs 20 meters. Now, is it going to go out to 30? Anderson here, cryogen, 1 second here back now at this point. They're all just watching, and they're within, how far is it to the line here? I mean, we're talking 3K? 4K?
Yeah.
3K?
Yeah, a little over 3K. So
this is doable. 100% doable. If they keep on just watching him like this, I mean, they've all just sprint just a moment ago. He waited for the perfect timing, comes over the top of the sprint. Still a ways to go, but if he opens up 15 seconds at this point, he is gone, in my opinion. Pesty looked to go across here. He's going the orange numbers, and that's how you do it. You do not drag everybody with you. He's got the 10 meters now at this point, 11 meters out. Now, Steinman now seeing that this is a threat, trying to go across as well. Does he got the gap? That's the question. Is he just going to drag everyone across? No, he's not. He's got a gap as well. Bud's trying to come in. Everybody in the mayhem now at this point, but this is going to shut things down, I think. Perhaps to Mallard? No, they're just going to go to Pesty, I think. I think this is going to...
Yeah. My thought is just, at this point now, patience is your virtue. Sitting back in this group, these guys are playing their cards way too early out here. I'm really surprised to see this.
I think Mallard here now is backing off, seeing that
Steinman, he needs to sit back in this group and save it for later.
I like the aggression. This would be what I would be doing. I would just be trying to just continue. Well, I don't know, not in this last 3K though. Last 3K. It's, you really, unless you don't have a sprint, unless you don't trust your sprint. I trust my sprint. I trust my sprint, so I would probably be doing something very different.
I'd be doing what Mads is doing. Mads has let everybody else chase this stuff back. He hasn't burned an extra watt.
He's got a headband and a goatee. I mean, of course.
Yeah, can't hurt, can it? No, it certainly, that 100% the rider to watch in this group in my mind. Just the way he's riding is so savvy. He's letting them all finish.
Just because he looks good. I mean, just watch this rider because the avatar knows how to dress. I mean, look at the style here coming from him.
He gets respect.
About the brown gloves, though. Not sure about the brown gloves. That's the only thing I'm not sure I'm completely on board with. But
all right, well, here we go, locked and loaded.
All now, back together. All back together, Dave.
Yeah, so I think right now, really just at this point, that the last attack has gone as far as I would estimate now, as these guys realize that these guys cover and kill everything that goes up the road. So let's get ready to sprint. We're coming up on 1.5K of racing here. Huge group together. The depth and the quality of the peloton today has been fantastic. So this is it. Looks like a lot of guys are going to get their chance to sprint. They've worked hard for this.
Belgian rider we haven't spoken a lot about since the first lap. Van Wingarden did make this front group. Interesting here. Look at the little bit of differences in distances traveled because of how they cut the corners. Not because anybody has the steering or anything. It's just where the avatars were choosing to go. Interesting enough. Ritmeester now trying to cover this.
Well, here's your solo suicide attack.
Yeah, Anna Russell move here. And
this is your all or nothing.
Teammates, though. There's no teammates that he's working for, but somebody has to shut this down. And Ritmeester, I mean, really, nobody's going to want to. That's the other thing. Newt now going across here, 9 watts per kilogram, and this is just going to be lead-out time.
Yeah, this is it. We are into our finale, and you can see going early, all you're doing is baiting out the lead out trains. Wahoo Cole is coming. Now, you're going to separate the wheat from the chaff as these guys open up the throttle. Let's see who's got the right power ups, Nathan. Wow, this is strong from Newt here.
8.3 watts per kilogram. He's going to have a second kick because it's going to be DeVries there.
Looks pretty
13 watts per
good.
kilogram coming from him. I think he's going to be caught pretty quickly, though, here as DeVries from the BZR team. 11 watts per kilogram now. A little bit of a kick. 800 watts, though, still for Newt. He's going to have to get shut down pretty quickly. He might have it. Did he get caught out
Anderson.
here? Johansson, though, very, very
Here
late.
comes Anderson
to the line right there, but no, the Dirt Rider made it happen. Oh, my gosh. Whoa. That was amazing from I thought he was going to get caught for sure. That was, I thought,
just
no
mistiming
way.
it. But we talked about Anderson making his return to big-time racing here on Zwift, and I have a feeling that might have just been a slightly mistimed sprint out there. Congratulations to Newt, the Belgian rider, with a beautiful win here today for Dirt.
I mean, I thought Anderson for sure was going to come across there, but no. DeVries, did he hang on? Is going to be the question. I think just barely Mads did catch him there, as you can see. Will be DeVries followed up by Johansson. Let's go backwards again here and just double check that there. But I believe Mads just at the line. Yeah, he did. He did just barely at the line there. But what a timed effort there from the Dirt Rider out of Belgium.
Sometimes
huge upset there.
Yeah, cutting against the grain, right? So those guys, all of those attacks that we saw from 6K in, the timing wasn't right, just too early. And, obviously Mads Bang Anderson was going to be the guy to beat, but you had to find threading that needle out there as we witnessed, talk about fortune favoring the brave and the timing being a huge part of this. Well, courage won that one for sure. Not waiting around to get beat in a sprint, but taking it to him proactively. That's quite a win.
Yeah, a lot of congratulations coming on through actually in game right now. Always cool to see. Loving everybody with the great race. It's always great, all the camaraderie amongst them. We've got about 7 minutes to the start of the Central. We're going to take a quick little 4 or 5 minute break here just for a moment, and we'll be right back with you with the Central Europe. And then after that, we'll be in with the Western. So don't go anywhere. Just going to do our usual roll in for the start of the race here and take a quick break. Long day of broadcasting here, and see you in just about 3 to 4 minutes. welcome back. We're back. Quick little break there, and we're in with the Zwift Community Lab broadcast of the Central Europe C0 and C3 races for the Richmond Challenge in the Zwift Classics here on this August 3rd, 2021. Nathan Garrett, Dave Toll. We just saw some awesome racing here in the Eastern Europe. And I do have a couple of results here as we wait for the start of our next race here. And let's go ahead and see if we can bring these on in. We'll start in with the Eastern Europe C3s. And it was R. Smith off the front, 49.24. They did 2 laps, just as a heads up there, followed up by Kastanok there. And then it was Holmeyer followed up by Simon. G. Greenland there, Holt, Dunn, Testa, Jarvis, and Monstro across the line for, and that is going to be for the men. They did separate things out, as you can see here. So in and amongst the women, it was Dobbins, but she did mix it up with the boys there in that front pack with some solid sprints. Fravel coming on in for second there, Pedro for third, Joe Graham there for fourth, Yila in for fifth, and late they're coming on in for sixth with the sprint to the line. Looks like between those three that were in that chase group. So super solid efforts there coming in from them. Loving the new graphics here coming in from WTRL. Doing a great job as always. And in the C0s there, Dave.
Yeah, and this was quite a race, no doubt about it. It was Newt taking the win with a perfectly timed late race attack there, just getting out in front of Andersen. De Vries taking the bronze medal, Johansson the chocolate medal for fourth for the Swede. Then it was the German Steinman, who was very active throughout the day, Lupinetti for sixth, Schultz for seventh, Rippmeister for eighth, Van der Vingarden for ninth, and Budge rounding out your top 10. Nathan, every race is different, but I was really surprised to see that many riders making that final selection. And you can see, I mean, that top 10 all within a couple seconds of each other. But it really was a big group going to the line with Newt just cracking the code. That was brilliant racing out there for the dirt rider.
Yeah, that really, really surprised me, actually. But, you know, if you don't have a super solid sprint, a really big kick to the line,
that's how you do it.
You can make that happen. And if they don't want to chase, we saw in that World of Zwift episode with Anna Russell, season 2, race 1, amazing job there with the attack from Russell, getting that gap. Now the difference being that Finesse Rockets closed it down, but you know, nobody was there to close it down. All the teams were separated at that point, right? So nothing. So he took full advantage of it. Amazing job there. The course out here today, though, Richmond UCI World's Reverse, 49K for the C0s. In with the C3s, it will be 2 laps. So we'll be cutting a little bit off of that. How far then is it? I think it's 32 then. I think it's 32 that we're going to be looking at for the 2 laps out there. A lot of climbing, 1,412 feet. That's a lot of climbing, actually. So solid day out on bike. Yeah, for sure. And really it's Broad Street 23rd and East Main that we're looking at as the main climbs out there.
It's interesting, Nathan. It is and it isn't, right? What it is about the climbing in Richmond is the way that it's so compacted into about a third of the race, or even a little less than that, because there's a lot of flat out here as well. I mean, this is the reverse of that World Championship course, but the climbing does so much damage. There's so much to work with for a strong racer out here. But you know what? It's funny. 430 meters over 49K, that's not an exceptional amount of vertical gain. It's just the way it's so intense.
Yeah, it really is. It's not just how much gain, I mean, it's just how incredibly crazy it comes at you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I want to speak to the start.
It's the delivery system.
How incredibly crucial this start is. And right from the get-go here, we are seeing couple of riders struggling to hang on, it looks like. Maybe just getting caught out. Interesting enough here, the rider here, Fender, Eintracht Frankfurt Radsport, not able to quite hold on, maybe not realizing how fast that this was going to start out.
They didn't watch the World of Zwift.
Look who showed up here today, Dave. We've got Adam
Is it
Zimmerman.
Adam Zimmerman again?
Zimmerman is out here today.
Nice?
We've got
Exciting.
Gamst. We've got Hagen. This is Mike
Swart.
Schwartz, Larson from PO Auto, Martins from Toyota. Wow. This is a
Eddie
who's who
Uhl
race
is
out
out here.
Cryo RDT with Boro is here as well. Rose Beast Mode is showing up. I mean, are we in the Premier Division? What is going on? This is VCRT have shown up. WLC right from the get go. BZR Eagles are here. This is
Ariel Savori is here. Super strong rider out of Argentina on World Elite.
Look at WLC already giving a go on the front. I mean, this is gonna be full gas from the get go here. I'm loving it.
Power is here. Shell Power. This is great. Okay, well, this is a main event that we've got lined up for you now. Buckle in, 49K of world-class racing here on Zwift. Exciting one. Great to get these guys rolling here. And Nathan, no surprise, they're going to have at it immediately. The gloves are off.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit excited just seeing the names that are out here and who's going to take out who.
Martin
We've
Merck.
got essentially like a pre-Zwift Racing League Season 4 taste here a little bit, I feel like, as we're seeing, okay, who's got the fitness. Alexander's, I think, is going backwards real quick with this fade climb he was looking to do. Is Hagen from no pins on the front. Power now coming over the top. It looks like solid effort coming in from him. Now it's going to be the Dirt Vipers there out of Canada, closing things down. Geldo now up into that 12 watts per kilogram real strike, 183 beats per minute. Looking for that final little kick theme here from Rose. Maybe going to be the rider, though, really to be watching out for as he comes over the top, 10, 11 watts per kilogram. But no, the Dirty Vipers here making it happen. Christoph around for second. Geldo now taking third over the top. What kind of a time was that? Because that was nothing but orange up and over the top of that climb. And it was a 128 over the top of that 23rd. Getting it right in. Gel actually taking the fastest time, interesting enough.
The Canadian Craig, is that right, Nathan? That we're looking at with our Dirt Vipers rider here, working through our race roster right now. It is just all stars here. Let's see if that split, and it did. We can see a big gap has opened up. A couple of gaps have opened up. It didn't take them but 5 minutes, 3 minutes, honestly, to make this race extremely dynamic out here. Christoph Thiem, Eddie Uhl, Craig.
Eddie Uhl. Oh, man.
Eddie Uhl, I'm sorry. We learned that last week. Eddie Uhl. Christoph Thiem is a big name here for Rosed Beast Mode. Trying to figure out who's even in this first 20 right now. That gap back to that next group. This all might come back together, but I would not be so sure as they're going to drop down into the roller coaster ride that is Libby backwards.
Dirty Vipers taking it down again with first across the line.
Ooh, la.
Uhl now using that draft power up. He used it right before he came across the line, being smart, trying to find something.
Couple cryo. Yeah, Cryogen is certainly going to be looking to make this race extremely tough on their competition here in the early going, Nathan. Joachim Lisson is racing today for PO Auto Ceramic Speed as well as Nick Larson.
Yeah, it's not just barely getting back on terms, maybe not even. I mean, look at this. Coalition already 3 seconds back. David here from Beast Mode now. I mean, these are big names. Schwartz getting dropped off. This pack by here, though, this is a different race. The level that is in this chase group is, I think, plenty to bring that back. As long as they get organized here, there's so many big names in the chase here. Very different situation from what we saw in Eastern. And Larson here shutting things down. Zim getting on terms. They're all going to calm right on down.
No, there's no doubt, Nathan, that this comes back together at the front. No breakaway right now is going to have an impact as far as winning the race, but what it's going to do is put a lot of riders out the back door. As a matter of fact, you can lock it down right now, to tell you the truth, with this front group. I don't see any more riders rejoining at this point. That was a power surge like we haven't seen since the ZRL here. That was a massive massive wattage dump that took this huge group of talented riders down to what you've got on your screen right now. That was quite a way to start a bike race right there. That's what this course brings to you. You just ramp it up down that downhill, and boom, they have at it. But you're right.
We're
I
getting
think it
some
does
rage
back
quits.
off.
I think we're getting a few rage quits. I just saw an
I don't
avatar
blame them.
disappear.
I'd be rage quitting.
Avatars disappearing left and right. Forget this. I'm out. What's interesting, I did notice Joseph Shudik was in the Eastern European, and I have a feeling he saw the level that was in this Central and said, I'm going to jump on in with these boys and maybe grab a couple extra points for his Zwift rankings. I mean, the reality is that the rankings over on Zwift Power are about depth of field. And if you want a depth of field, this is where it's at right now. Steve from R3R Dev here trying to come across Vandernod.
Actually, a few riders again. They're really sitting up, aren't they, in that front group?
Yeah, I figured that this pack behind was going to get back on terms with the likes of Schwarten here. Ludendorff is in here as well from BHC. The British Hot Prince. Not sure he's going to hang on. I don't think he's going to hang on through the rest of the race, perhaps. This will split again later on, but I think it's going to come back for this one. Now, the reality is they're about to hit East Main, and now that this front group was able to sit up a little bit, when they go up East Main, it's going to be full gas.
Yeah, I have to eat my words, though. I'm surprised that they really sat up at all, but I guess it speaks to we do have 49K of racing, a long way to go. But yeah, the entire second group is going to rejoin here. Well, almost like giving a second life out there. Positioning has a big part of that too, doesn't it, Nathan? If you happen to be sitting near the back of the group thinking that we were going to have a somewhat reasonable start to the race, well, that was certainly not the case. But you look around and you're right. There were so many strong riders back there that, yeah, not too much to worry about, I guess, for the experienced racer.
This could be Craig Piper that you were talking about from that Dirty Vipers. And the Canadian. We'll see if we can find his avatar out here. But Craig, definitely a very experienced Zwifter. He's got a lot of information actually in his profile, which is always really appreciated. As check him out over on Zwift Power as well as Strava. He's got a UCI ID actually, an Ironman triathlete. He's Team Canada ITU Chicago 2015 ultra marathoner. Got some dual recording going on as well. So he's currently ranked. Let's see here. He's got an FTP of 386 watts, and he's on a Tax Neo actually. So solid rider. And I mean, this is at a 50 plus. This is a very, very strong rider. Wow, crazy numbers. But I mean, that's one of the beauties of this platform, in my opinion, is that the different kinds of levels that can continue to race on at all different age groups here. But Eddie Uhl showing us how cool Toyota Cryo RDT, the two South Africans. As Borrell looks to follow him. They do have one other rider in here from the team out of Germany. That's going to be Martins, and I think he's going to sit in and let the other two do some work.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages of being on Cryo RDT is that it's not only the quality and the quantity equation that they can answer the bell for any time. Boy, here we go again, though. You were correct in your assessment, Nathan. Giving these guys a chance to cool their jets for a little bit only leads to a more aggressive trip up to the finish line here.
Eddie, always the aggressive
Very
too.
aggressive.
He's kind of his go-to. I think that's his role on the team a lot of times is to just be super aggressive,
soften
break
it up,
things apart. Yeah, do the work up front. He does have a killer sprint. We saw him actually win on Libby Hill after party on this same world actually, just during the ZRL. And today though a little bit different, perhaps just trying to break things apart as much as they possibly can. And it's really smart moves here coming from the Cryo RDT team because look at where his teammates are sitting here. They're sitting easily within that pack and not really doing a whole lot of work here. Zim, being smart, is just doing something similar, knowing that if it does go up the road that he could close something down, but following Borrell, which is a smart move, I think. And now 3 off the front a little bit here. We're going to have a sprint in just a moment. And this could be a section where you could have a counter. Interesting to see BHC hot cranks now going. There's a gap here, Dave. They're kind of watching it too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens right after the sprint now to see do these guys ease up or do they continue to press on again? Very early going here. But as you mentioned, the Toyota team, they don't mind playing their cards in a unique way. And this is going to go up and over the top. So this is the Canadian that we were talking about at the top of the show. Very, very strong opener here. Does Eddie want to cover that? Looks like he's going to. South African Eddie Oul, we're talking about right now. You can see right in the middle of your screen here. Kind of a flex moment in the race right now. 3 seconds, they're dangling off of the front. But well, do a lot of predicting out here, but I have a feeling with so much racing ahead of us, well, maybe these guys do want to be the move of the day, Nathan. Why not? Although hovering around 2 seconds, that's a bit ominous when you look behind you, isn't it? So much horsepower just waiting to rev.
It's interesting to me that Eddie is continuing on with this effort right now, as they're going to bring him back. 5-5 now here, as you
Yeah.
can see. BZR there on the front a little bit. And they're going to let the Dirty Vipers go, it looks like. Not super interested in chasing down a solo rider. I think they're trusting that the level here, just let him wear himself out on the front there. It's not a bad idea, actually, with the kind of power he's been showing, that if he wants to throw down that kind of power off the front. And in the Groove's mind, I think with the kind of joint power that they have, it's like, yeah, go ahead, use that all you want here. And he's now trying to go across, interesting enough, though. Maybe he's trusting this, which he's a smart rider. And if he sees them start to back off, it's a long day off the front, though, with 2 riders here. They've still got plenty of landscape, lots to cover.
Yeah, I can't think that would be the game plan right now. But Eddie seems pretty comfortable. Just riding his tempo, I think, here as we look at all of these guys sitting back in the group. I guess this is my mindset, Nathan. It seems to have proven out in the previous C0 race that we watched earlier, is that just keeping the powder dry back here in this group, recognizing that we've got a lot of racing and some real intensity. It's going to be almost like a race with intervals thrown into it every lap when you look at going on the reverse of 23rd and Libby. And again, strong rider like this, more than happy to let them go out. But when you start seeing the gap go up to 6-7 seconds, Nathan, and that's going to be a Toyota teammate there, Aaron Burrill there on the front, just letting it roll.
This is actually John Mrozek here from Restart as well, going across. So now there's 3 working together at a solid 5 to 6
this
watts
becomes
per
a real
kilogram
breakaway
here.
at this point.
And Toyota
Here we go.
now sitting and just shutting the door, rolling through just enough to keep people happy, but not knowing that it's going up the road.
Kind of a false tempo, they call that, right? Where it's a little hard to tell exactly what they're doing. They're not pulling quite hard enough, but you keep going over the top. Exactly. Well done here. They've established themselves as the move of the day. 10 seconds. I think that really is a fair number to use. At what point does the break become a serious breakaway? Well, that moment has arrived. Here we go. 11K in.
It looks like Zimmerman here trying to instigate something, saying, hey, we need to go right now. Laurel here just shutting everything down. No pins R3R. Chudik now coming on through. Chudik's fit from finesse here is surprising me the way that he's riding this. Now, I think they're going to trust, though, that this sprint is going to bring back those 10 seconds. We'll see, though. 7 watts per kilogram from the Dirty Vipers on the front here. Actually separating himself from everybody, interesting enough. So, Zamrozik and Oul just watching the Dirty Vipers rider here pull everybody away.
It's interesting because the amount of effort, Nathan, that it would take for these 3 to open up a 30-second gap is extremely dangerous. It's a double-edged sword because when you make that effort and get that huge gap, well, you're going to find yourself really at the end of your rope. Once they begin chasing it back, they can bring back a lot of time quickly. So it's almost like a game out here where this might be about picking up some points, and as well as now sort of want to just let it sit. It's at 15 seconds here. So you've got a nice advantage. These guys are going for the points here as well. But now maybe you kind of want to keep it at 15, not go so much harder and open up a huge gap. You feather this if you're the front group. You don't want to poke the bear any harder than you are. See if they'll let you sit out here like this for a while.
What's happening with Chuduk out here today? Finesse here,
Joseph Chuddik, one of the
really
stronger riders in this
surprised.
race.
Is
Yeah,
there a
this is a
dropout
huge
perhaps here? You're
surprise.
seeing 8 watts per kilogram from him right now, which tells me perhaps there was
Must
something
have been
that
a
went wrong.
dropout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because this is a lot of wattage to have right now for someone who is dropped. I mean, 5.8, 6, yep, dropout. He's letting us know. I figured that's what had
Yeah, so
happened
that's
here.
not a right. Exactly. It's pretty clear with the rider of this quality. So that was a mechanical, not a biomechanical that we were witnessing.
And it's really bad timing because I think the front end of this group wants to bring back those boys up front. As
I
I
would.
don't know.
So going back to that theory, Nathan, I would not. I would be happy to let him sit out here at 15 seconds at this point. When we get down to 1 lap to go, I'd start bringing it down under 10 at that
Good
point.
point. It's a good
But
point because
right
they're
now,
just wasting effort, maybe a little bit here. If it doesn't get outside of 30 seconds, if it gets outside of 30 seconds, I would start getting worried.
and the effort it takes to get seat in the peloton, I mean, obviously the chase group now, chase one, if this goes over 20, you've got to think that everything changes as far as the mentality of the chase. They'll start going much, much harder, and I would think that this group would come back. So actually, to the breakaways, with all due respect, keeping it right where it is, let's call it 14-ish seconds. That seems to be not a bad place to try to reside for a little while here. We've got a lot of racing ahead of us now, coming up on completing the first lap of 3.
Nice job by Chudik here to get back on terms. Solid ride coming in from him. And
Shows you how
close
strong
that
he
right on
is.
down. Gonna rest up a little bit here. And now we do
That's a
have, it
name.
looks like 20 riders or so, maybe a little more than that. A little bit of a punch off the front here coming
This
from Zimmerman.
incredibly similar to what we watched with the Eastern Europe group, actually. Rare do you see 2
A lot
races.
of gray hair. A lot of riders using the gray hair here in game. Interesting enough.
It's a psych out technique, right? You don't need to chase me. I'm an older racer, older gentleman.
Maybe it's for
Nothing to worry about.
the matching gloves here and cap. I think
The
he's going
visor.
fashion.
Is that a
police
cap
here.
or a visor? It's a
Yeah,
tough
visor.
look.
Yeah, visor.
Okay,
Yeah. Go with the visor. And
But
then
with
the
that
Mavic,
hair, yeah.
and then the in short on the back here with the collar. I mean, this is a pretty solid setup here. He's even got the blue matching with the kit. He's off the front at 6 watts per kilogram. Toyota car, he trying to shut it down a little bit, it looks like. It's out to 24 seconds, Dave. It's starting to get dangerous.
It really is. And I mean, you really nailed it with the numbers there. It's very, very close to that mark of 30 seconds. You got to think that the chase starts coming more. I don't know if too many riders with much more experience than Adam Zimmerman. He kind of, as the esports had a nice surge in popularity and respect, and Adam was one of the riders that was right on the front wave of that. You can see him. But it's right now, it still remains this group has gone out to basically call it 30.
Whew.
I'm a little surprised that they're willing to give that much leash. I thought at 20 seconds, Nathan, that these guys continue to press on, working very well together. This goes from that's an interesting moment to, wow, all righty then. These guys are really, really committed. And that, how many times have we talked about that? You can't really, if you want to break away to work, especially something going so early, you've got to commit. Little bit of memories of the Olympic road race for the women here, Nathan. You think no chance or very small chance, and then all of a sudden you start thinking, do the math. Well, I don't know. And then all of a sudden you realize it's not 30 seconds, it's 35 seconds that they've got. And we're coming up on the midpoint of this race pretty quickly. That chase group better get their act together and quick, fast, and in a hurry here.
Look at the chase group's team
They're playing a very
composition.
dangerous game right
There
now.
just isn't any. The reality is the ability to communicate and organize amongst this group, I think, is the main problem that we're seeing here. Um,
So it
Zimmer,
looks like the Belgian power. Yeah, I think that now the reality of if we don't start chasing now, this thing's gone. And I think that just, I agree with you. You can't
the
have that
control
conversation
though,
of like,
Toyota Cryo RDT are completely in control of this, and they continue to shut it down at the front, going to 5 watts per kilogram, then backing right on off, and they just keep slowing it down here. 49 kilometers per hour. Look
I
at
don't know that you can do a yeah better job than that, Nathan. Well, I mean,
and
you're
there.
absolutely
Who
right.
else has the numbers?
Coming to
No
the front
one.
and
There's
bogging it
complete
down.
disorganization from the rest. There's no team here other than it seems like Cryo RDT that's got any kind of organization about what to do about this or even able to do anything about it.
We haven't seen a team ride as well to set up a breakaway as what we're seeing from Cryo RDT, the Toyota team. Just a fantastic job. If this one doesn't work, it was still beautiful execution through this part of the race. I wonder, this is giving me that feeling, Nathan, we might look back on this one as a historic day of racing. This is back in with our front group here, as they're out on lap number 2 here on Richmond Reverse.
Yeah, and don't forget there are 2 riders from
So
Restart here. So Mark Schwartz, he's just going to be sitting in. I'm not sure if did Mike make the group though. Not positive he did. He may have gotten dropped actually that next time over the top of that climb here, but he was a part of trying to let this go as well, I believe. Eddie Uhl now, a little bit of a kick now, 446. It's going to be the Dirt Vipers now able to hang on. Demrozic now heads to the front. The question is, watch the numbers, though. Watch the numbers, because that's going to be whether or not they've got a higher kick and a better climb over the
they
top of
need
here.
to work together too, Nathan. Let me just stress that, right? That breakaway of 3, they've got such a daunting task ahead of them that if they start fighting for points and attacking each other, that will doom the breakaway. So they still have a lot of racing ahead of them where they're going to need to stay cohesive and work as a group. I guess that goes without saying, but you could see it didn't look like it was ideal up there the last time we checked in, and that number is starting to come down.
Well, it
This is
is
not
going
good.
to be the Dirt Vipers with 7 seconds over the top of that 23rd. So they're just going to let him
Well,
go.
that's the end of the breakaway, if you ask me. It was going to take all 3 guys working together to make that work if they wanted to go to the line. That's my thought. But I have a bad feeling when you see them at 18.5K in attacking each other, because it was going to take all 3 leaning in.
Martins, it looks like, from Toyota, taking down some more points, perhaps. Theme from Rose Beast Mode. That's interesting enough. As he looks to separate this group out maybe a little bit more, but that's also going to give some speed to the group. David from Beast Mode now coming over the top, it looks like, and they're going to roll right on through. They've brought it down within 30 seconds. I think they're going to bring this down to 25 once it's all said and done over the climbs. It's not going to be enough, I don't think. But they still have East Main. Over the top, East Main is going to tell us a lot. Martin's going again here at the front. And this is really separating out.
smaller.
The thing now, yeah. That's the other thing. That's not to their advantage, actually. It does look like it's coming back together. The larger the group, the better for bringing this all back. If they start actually playing some cards, though, it just seems to me they're not really pressing the pace in the right kinds of ways. They're watching each other too much, racing for 3rd or 4th here at this point.
It's easy, Nathan, to get excited about the breakaway, isn't it? But in reality, these guys are in the power position here at this point, still looking back at that chase. So the Canadian Dirt Vipers here, Craig, our leader, I have a feeling, well, when you look at it now, maybe these guys do get back together, although it's never quite the same after that first attack out of the breakaway. But it looks like now Beast Mode's starting to pitch in here as Christoph getting some help, as it looks like David coming up. So it looks like all Germany on the front as Martin Mertens there. Now the Toyota Cryo rider, I think he's sitting on the chase, to tell you the truth, of his teammate up the road.
Beast Mode definitely get involved here, it looks like, saying enough is enough. Christoph Thiem to the front. and his teammate David there as well, right on the wheel. And they really pressed the pace over the top there, brought it down to 26 seconds. So the breakaway losing 10 seconds through those climbs. See what happens now. Really starting to ramp things up. It is going to be the No Pins R3R rider out of Belgium here. It's going to be an Autonaut here. And up into that 61 kilometers per hour. Look at the speed differentiations. And this is the snowball effect. And you were saying the power position. Well, this is where the power comes in for the chase group with these downhills, as well as the ability to rest up and wait for the next climb and really throw all that energy in. These boys at the front, they have to throw everything at all moments into trying to increase that time gap. But now it's down to 23 seconds. It was almost out to 40 at one time, so it's been split in half here, Dave.
Yeah, and this again, the engine room back in the peloton there. These three synced back up, so we can see that the Canadian has been rejoined here by the South African and American Daniel Jemrosic there. But these three, right in the middle is the South African Eddie Uhl. So let's see what happens now. 25 seconds is where that gap is. The high watermark up at 40, as Nathan just said. But back here, yeah, these guys.
Martin's just controlled it again. Martin just went to the front and shut it down to 3 watts per kilogram again. I mean, if this continues to happen like this on these flat sections, it's just going to keep opening up. Everyone just starts looking at each other, and they are racing for 4th place then.
So here's everybody back in this group, Nathan, is sitting on 3.5 watts per kilo. The guys riding in that front group are sitting over 5 watts per kilo to keep that going. That is a big difference to be able to sustain for half an hour. And that's what they're going to have to do, to tell you the truth. Because once they start picking it up back in this group, it comes back quickly. We saw that through the last time through the climbs, and they can bring back twice as much as they did. So again, yeah, this one goes back and forth, doesn't it? It's fun to watch, that's for sure. Here's a good look at our course profile out here today.
Total of 49 kilometers for the three lappers out here. There is a 2-lap race that is happening at the moment. We'll be jumping in with them as soon as we possibly can, waiting for the riders to come around the place that we can find them out here. But yeah, they are currently second time over. They're right around, we're going to say that 31, they're right around that, not that second time up over the top of that. Interesting where they're at here, actually. If you look at this course profile, those 2 bumps right there, and then you looks like there's this giant mountain in the middle of everything. That's just the upper ends of Richmond. That's just the flat sections of the course, actually, that giant mountain in the middle of the course each and every lap.
That's the in-town part.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The plateau up there, yeah.
Right now, they're in that little valley there in between, which is the industrial park area down by the river there. 25K mark or so, about to hit the East Main.
When you're on the top of 23rd and the top of Libby, you're basically at the same altitude as you are at the finish line. But it drops down very quickly there. That's a really interesting course profile. It really tells the story of what the race is all about as we go back in with Lacey, the coalition rider, sitting in this front group. Not a big group, but not a small group right now. But certainly, to tell you the truth, that's probably where I'd like to be sitting, taking my chances coming into the second half of this race.
Yeah, honestly, if I were in the breakaway, I would be pretty confident at this point.
You'd like to be riding in the break.
Yeah, I would like to be, but I always like being in breaks. I'm just a kind of rider who's like, let's go take
34, Nathan. So it's 34 seconds. You'd like that, yeah. So again, there is no magic number where you can say with this much gap at this point, you know that they're going to win. But certainly 34 is a very interesting storyline to follow along with. 34 seconds, the advantage for our 3 riders. Again, the Canadian on dirt going by the name Craig, Daniel Jemrosic there, the American, and the South African on the Cryo RDT team. I should mention restart the team for Jemrosic, and then Eddie Uhl on the Toyota Cryo RDT team. Okay, so Joseph Chidek there. one of the stronger riders. We noticed that he had a technical issue earlier, was able to chase right back in. That was a good indicator that he had great legs today, and he's certainly showing us that. But Nathan, you've been noting the teamwork from Cryo. It's been impeccable out here today. If they're able to hold on in that breakaway, this certainly had something to do with it, the way the Cryo's been getting up to the front and then bogging down over and over.
David here for Beast Mode now heading to the front. And that's what they have to do. They have to not allow CryoRDT to bog things down because CryoRDT, they continue to go to the front and just slow it down. Gel says, no, enough is enough with that. Makes his way to the front here now, 7 watts per kilogram, trying to carry as much speed over the top as they possibly can. A little bit of a feather power up. That's what you need to do, is carry the speed over the top. So high watts per kilogram, feather power up, really going to be useful for that. 30 kilometers per hour, solid effort at a 6% gradient right now. And it's down to 30 seconds again. But again, over and over again, it just calms down the moment that it flattens out. They bring it back on the climbs a little bit here. And then everyone just starts kind of looking at each other. Then you do the work. Now you do the work. And no one, there isn't a team with enough representation, it feels like. I mean, Beast Mode, they've tried to make some things happen here. Not sure that they got the kind of representation needed. Chudik, he's solo. They got to start communicating with each other a little bit between these teams. And if they can't, there's too much infighting. I think that's just going to continue to go out. Now, interesting enough, down to 3 watts per kilogram, though, in the breakaway. They start playing some games up there, and this race is over real quick.
Yeah, right. They can't afford to. That's what I was talking about half a lap ago when we started to see them attacking out of the breakaway there. And, yeah, they really need to stay synced up. And look at the numbers that we're starting to see now. The chase is really finding another gear, Nathan. Not that they're running out of real estate yet, but at 14K to go, I think that, yeah, look at the numbers coming down. It's almost down to 20 seconds here. Talking about the advantage. These guys really,
like, they just
I think they're exhausted for one.
Yeah. That's probably what's going on. They're just absolutely exhausted. As
they've been doing a tremendous amount of work. And this is, again, Nathan, I think you're with me. When you see this, not ideal. That breakaway needs to be riding really simpatico. Great word, right? All of the same mindset. They don't seem to have that entirely. And I think that they needed to be all together now, or it has no chance.
I think Joseph is sensing the weakness up front. And says,
I think he's sending a statement like,
down.
I think he's saying, I need a couple other people to do what I'm doing and actually chase.
Down to 14. That's got to be really.
Well, you see what he's doing?
15.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of put the bit between his teeth, Nathan. Now, Joseph has just said, look, I'm going. If you're strong enough to go with me, it's time to race our bikes. I'm done playing around with this break. We're moving into the second act.
Yeah, 100% here. And doesn't look like they can close.
This is almost a solo attack. In all honesty, Nathan, this is almost like a solo attack that we're witnessing from Joseph here. What it's going to do is light the fuse.
Eddie continuing on here. It looks like over the top. They're almost within sight. You can see just over the top of that climb. Chudik is just coming over the top, it looks like, with
I like that they tried. I love that they tried out here.
It's not over
and Nathan,
yet.
if you
they closed it down.
It's not over yet.
Yet.
And as you were saying, you would have loved to have been in that breakaway, and this is where you probably would have to soldier on by yourself now. A little more than 10K alone. Well, they're all back together again, but it's hard to believe they're a comprehensive group at this point.
Joseph here continue. Look at this.
Meaning
they still haven't closed it down to it. It's out to 31 meters now. What is with this group? They really either they just don't have the fitness to hang with this level, or they just keep playing a lot of games with each other. Like, this is some serious games. And I know this group has the fitness. I mean, Gamp's seeing, this is what I'm talking about. Gamp's looking to go across. They've got the fitness. They just are playing these games. And now it's going to be Chudik and Gamps here. 7-7 now, gets right on terms, and now they're going to work together.
This is good for Joseph. That's what he needs. So I think Joseph is going to respond, and yes, he does. So, Nathan, these two aren't racing to try to join that breakaway. They're looking to demolish that breakaway.
And
they're not looking to ride up and start working with these guys. And here comes power. So
yeah, power going across.
The cream is jumping out of the cup. Yeah. They need Christoph Thiem,
and they got. The situation here is that a lot of the top riders in this pack recognize that um, there's a lot of riders sitting in and they're not having it. And so they're waiting for these moments to just jump away from this pack and not bring any dead weight along with them.
So
That's what they're
I
thinking.
have a
It seems to
feeling,
me.
Nathan, they're going to blow the doors off those that are not willing to do any work the next time that we hit. Was it Frederick Street? I've never heard that mentioned before. That shows how much you know about this course. But
It's Franklin.
Franklin Street, right?
25th and Franklin. 25th and Franklin. You know, the other
Yeah,
thing
there's
is
going to
that they
be.
don't want the rest of Cryo RDT coming with. Maybe the thing is that they just want to break
Yeah,
the other
that's a great
Toyota.
point.
You know, they're just, well, don't pull those guys along and let's get rid of them if they're going to play these games.
Yeah, I would have to say that one thing Eddie has certainly done is set up the rest of the Toyota Cryo team. That's for sure. Going back in with the front group here as they're coming up on 10K to go. Most importantly, they're going to be heading out on the last lap and their last crack at the difference makers when you talk about backside of 23rd, backside of Libby, and what they've got coming. This breakaway continues to impress us out here today, stabilizing things back down at around 13 seconds. It seems like they've been out there for an hour. It's only really been about 30 minutes. This is going to be Christoph Thiem, the German rider on Rose Beast Mode. He'll pick up some points. Let's see if that splits anything up behind them. There should be a lot of fresh legs, Nathan, sitting back in Chase 1. That's the group that we're looking at right now.
They're within sight now at this point. Now, Beast Mode shutting down some time. Now, Gamp's heading to the front there from BL13. Looks like they're right around the corner. There's the break now. And this is the moment of truth, I think, for the break. Do they continue on or sit up still? Eddie, there. 5.4 on the front. Now here comes the Dirty Vipers coming on through here. It's going to be a lap and a half to go. Still a lap and a quarter to go still. And Joseph Chuduk says, no, we're not settling down. He goes right to the front and ramps it right on up. 47 here, 7 seconds. Is he going to jump across or just pull this together? It looks like it's just to pull it together. Well, he's out to 4 meters. Aaron Borrow, though, he shuts it down. And it looks like it's all together here at this point. And Joseph maybe just willing as Young heads to the front for VCRT. But Young down to 3 watts per kilogram.
Yeah, that break.
Not actually pulling through. Well, now up to 5. And there we go. It looks like 7 seconds. I don't think that break's staying away any longer.
No, I mean, going and trying to bridge up to that break would be like showing up at a party at the same time that the police arrive. It's over, believe me. When you get there, there's no more fun is going to be had in that breakaway for the day as these guys now are going to move into the next phase. It's been an amazing ride. I got to give credit to all 3 of these gentlemen up here. But I think that the reality of the level of racing that we've got out here today, and certainly Joseph Chodek has been one of the riders that's been super impressive. I'm really looking at Shell Power. And is Ariel Savori in that group or not? I've been looking for that Argentinian flag, Nathan. I'm starting to think maybe he didn't take the start for the race today because he would have been a danger man if we had him in the group. But these guys won't lay down. I love that about them. That's for sure. Certainly, if we had a most aggressive or courageous award, it certainly goes to one of these 3. I might even lead toward the dirt.
I have not seen
Savori.
Savori. No, I have not seen Savori.
So it must not be. Definitely when you look at the guys that you have, Nathan, Power is a name that really stands out at this point, someone who's delivered. And, of course, Christoph Thiem of Rose Beast Mode. Very talented guys are waiting in the wings right now. But Joseph Chodek could be a big win for the Finesse Esports rider. But he seems like he's right on that threshold, banging on the door, ready to kick it in at some point soon here.
5 seconds difference now. And interesting to see Boro on the front. I think he's still just trying to close the door. And Rosick from BHC here getting a little bit of cheering on coming in from Daniel Frobing. Good to see as the chat is definitely in the corner of BHC. And interesting to see something I want to point out. BHC at this level, I'm not sure that they've seen them take a win at this level up against the types of riders we have in and amongst this group right here. So good to see the British Hot Cranks making this front group with Rosick. Now, the question is Beast Mode played their cards right? Because amongst this group, you know, you really want to talk about who the top riders are. We're talking No Pins R3R. We've got Beast Mode in here. Obviously, Toyota Cryo RDT. Zimmerman's been sitting tight. I mean, he's kind of that Of course,
Wild
always
card,
gonna be
huh?
there. Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
he's been so quiet, so incredibly quiet.
So smart. And I mean, that's again not burning any matches when you don't have to, and just sitting quiet is perfect, to tell you the truth, because what you're looking for is to not hear your name until the last 50 meters of the race, when all of a sudden you pop up out of nowhere. And that's when you know that you've executed a game plan perfectly. That's Adam Zimmerman tucked right on the back of the group right now, steady as can be, and letting everybody else burn their matches. Cryo has certainly done a great job of setting themselves up by putting a rider in the breakaway. All right, we're just about to head out for the last lap now.
Last lap and only 3 seconds. I mean, it's done at this point, and that was a lot of energy. And so
If
these
these
riders
guys can
most
hang
likely,
on,
they're all they're thinking about at this point is, I mean, Jamrozic knows it's over. He's just going back to the group at this point, and there was a lot of energy expenditure. All I'd be thinking about at this point after getting caught is drink a lot of water, put some sugar in the in the body, take a gel, and get some energy stores back, because
they
you
might
just
not
put
even.
in a huge amount of effort, and you've got a lot of crazy, crazy power jumps about to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So what's crazy is you've been just burning the torch just wide open out there like a blowtorch, no doubt about it. And these guys have been laying back and ready to pounce. I get a feeling if any of those three riders in the break are able to make it in the final group that goes to the line, I would have to say that's more than a commendable effort. What they've done already out here today has been commendable. So go ahead, hit that reset button as we are back. Grupo Compacto here, all together now on the front. So the breakaway's been brought back. The catch has just been made as we begin now the finale, the grand finale, lap
Of
3.
course.
And Cryo attacking over the top. That's your classic counterattack, Nathan. Here we go.
Of course. As soon as we hit the downhill,
Aaron.
and Aaron just goes right to the front, counterattacks, keeps the speed high. He's not going anywhere though. He's just trying to keep his speed high and in and amongst the group here, it looks like. He's going to go backwards pretty quickly though as they roll right on through. He'll have to give a little bit of another kick now. And Gamps here 6.8 on the back. They could catch a rider out a little bit. There is a way to kind of, I've done it before, where a rider's tail gunning a whole lot and you just head to the back and
Crack
then
the
let a
whip.
gap go a little bit and then kick back up. And if you can give them 5 meters, they can quickly find themselves in a whole lot of trouble, actually.
Kind of a barrage technique as we.
Give us 1 second here, everybody. Just logging in a second. Making sure that we have our other events ready to go, as we do see some people jumping in saying they're getting ready for the Western Europe C3s and C0s, which we're super excited for. So as those do come up, we'll be in with them in just a few moments. We are heading into the 23rd Street climb, though. Here is Joseph Chudik, Gel Power. This is going to be the moment of truth, I think, these next 3 climbs. Was anybody saving anything for a monstrous attack here is going to be the question now. Young to the front, VCRT. Be on the watch out for him. Aaron, though,
See, it's
one
still.
who's been controlling things from Toyota CryoRDT. Is he going to be on the attack, though? And
I think that you've got to time this right. So if you're going to use these hills for that kind of attack, Nathan, you don't do it on 23rd, but you do it on the backside of Libby, I would think. Still a little early to try to do it right here. You want to let somebody else play those cards and sit on that attack and then come over the top of that, I think would be the way to do it. If that's your
attacks here
plan.
usually don't go much of anywhere. It does separate things out a little bit for those who are really struggling. When it comes to the cream of the crop, though,
They
they're going
just
to hang
surf.
with you.
Yeah, they just surf right back up to you on the downhill, don't they? After 23rd.
Christoph really putting a dig in, though, here.
Danger, man. No
2
doubt
of them,
that's
actually.
a danger, man.
2 beast modes off the front here a little bit. David getting back on terms. Now, the question is, are they going to play this right? Got to get up into that 57 kilometers per hour pretty quickly now. They do have a little bit of a gap.
I think they're using the Anna Russell Riot playbook. I like it. Come hard, come early. This is going to be.
Chudik. Now, see the roll through. Look at VCRT just roll right on up. Van He coming through with that 65 kilometers per hour. Now he needs to continue on though. He kind of slowed there a little bit, and really, Cryo RDT are going to get a huge. Wow, look at them just roll right
Eddie.
through 1, 2,
Can
and
you believe
3.
Eddie is still helping a teammate? He's trying to get. He's trying to help. Wow, Cryo all over the front now. As I was saying, this is the moment if you're going to try to do it right here, right now in Richmond. This is the time. This is the place. There's the Danish rider, Joachim Lisson of PO Auto. Real strong man.
Out to the front. He's got the fan crew out in chat now at this point, but now again, this is a quiet name I've not seen at the front as well. It's going to be Pardains now as well. Shudik now coming across. Now the splits are starting to happen. Lacey's off the back here. Van He just barely hanging on, maybe fading 192 beats per minute. This is that moment. You got to hang on. He does jump back in amidst the group here, and it's together still.
Nobody wanted to go all in. Nobody was willing to push their chips all in. There's a lot of guys who believe that they can win out of this group late in the race. So this is very similar to what we saw earlier today. So much depth and so much talent that everybody a little bit afraid to expose themselves out here. Cryo, though, going to make a play for it.
Yeah, and they continue to do so. They've got the numbers. They got the numbers for it. And I was going to say, there was one Cryo rider that has been sitting in, not sticking his nose in the wind at all. Very quiet. It is Martin Martins. And this rider gets off the front.
He's going to sit up,
their danger man later on. Over the top of East Main, watch out for Martins because he's been so quiet. And that little kick right there that we saw over the top, and the way he took that with ease tells me that he's been the man they've been waiting to give the go-to in the back end of this race.
Couldn't agree more, Nathan. And also, did you notice that when he realized that there was nothing there for him, that he immediately sat up and didn't waste a pedal stroke? Rather than continue on with a pointless attack, he realized, I'm going to be there for the finale. Just a little bit of a stretch of the legs right there tells me I'm on a good day. I'm not going to showboat up here. I'm going to be smart. That's very good sign for Toyota Cryo and Martin Mertens.
Yeah, that's
a great sign, isn't it? Look at him moving around in this group just at will right now. This guy's floating like a butterfly out there.
Yeah, this is the game plan here from Toyota Cryo DT. Send Eddie Gould off the front, have Aaron Borrow control the pace, control everything. You let him use the efforts in order to keep everything under control. And Martin Mertens sat in. Look at how low this heart rate is. And, they're probably getting really
smart,
frustrated with us that we're just completely exposing their plan here. But I think this is really where
other people, though, are saying Dave Toll is so frequently wrong that you gotta love it, man. I tell you what, Nathan, this one could go a lot of different directions out here, but I think that you might be on to something with Cryo today, to tell you the truth. Although I would never want to bet against some of the guys out here like Joachim Lisson, the Danish rider on PO Auto. Real talent. And also, remember that we haven't mentioned Kjell Power for a little while here. Certainly a rider that hard to imagine outside of the top 5, top 3. I can easily picture him on the top step of the podium.
We're talking the watts per kilogram so far. Eddie Uhl has put out 5.2. Boro 4.9, way up, way
what
up.
About Daniel Jemrosic? What is that? Where's he at then? Got to be way up there too.
The restart rider 4.6 actually, so has been a little bit smarter
more efficient
with his efforts actually. So,
yeah,
but 4 or 5 from Mertens so far, and up amongst the lead group, he is amongst the lowest numbers put out so far. So. A lot of energy reserve.
That's
the
name of the game.
Scott David there. Who else? Kjell Power also down under 4.5. Jasper.
James Young. Yeah, Nathan, that's the name of the game, without any doubt. Make sure everybody else is finishing up their plate and help them do that before you start it on yours. And these guys are just about to tuck into their entree at this point as they're inside of 10K to go for our Central Europe C0 group, the big dogs. This is some heavy hitters. If you were just to be thrown into the middle of this race, you would think you were in ZRL Season 4, to tell you the truth, the level we're looking at here.
Did Klaus get dropped? Did Klaus Vandenon Looking through here, it's showing him as 4 seconds. And I don't know. I may have gotten.
Been a few
Is
riders
he
at the
still
back
in
of the
here?
group. I
Was it a rage quit? No, he's here still. He
I
has
don't
made
think
the.
we're
He's
past
made.
rage quitting
He's
at this
made.
point.
He's made the group. He's actually made the group. So if we're looking at pure, 15-second at this point, I'd be watching out for the Craig from the Dirt Vipers out there. It's pretty out of this world, honestly. Though at
But after
1600
all that work in
watts,
the
I
break,
mean,
though,
whew,
that's the thing.
we'll see if he makes his way through the final results or not. Just to be honest and straightforward, there. Looking through though, amongst all the riders, I mean, there is some that's pretty
I mean,
evenly matched.
there are
though.
riders. There are riders that will blow your mind with their ability to sprint after making a huge effort, especially if he's been able to sit back and recover a little bit here for a while. That would be phenomenal. It's not impossible. There's a guy named Daniel Holloway racing criteriums in the U.S. that used to do that fairly frequently, ride in the breakaway, work hard in the break, come back to the group, and still win the sprint. It would be one of the most noteworthy rides of 2021. I would say, but that's why you got to dream. I wouldn't bet against him at this point.
So as far as the riders go, though, I mean, it's going to be. There's Joachim Leisen from Pio Auto has a crazy kick, almost 17 watts.
Yeah, almost
kilogram.
17.
Yeah, I mean, this is. It's going to be him.
I don't think that Hassan
from VCRT is also a rider that I'm not super familiar with, but be on the watch out there. There's some names here that are going to start getting on the radar through this race.
I completely agree. I was taking a look, James Young of the Doggos, VCRT Doggos, Nathan. He's been, Joe Bauer at 18.1, the Belgian, and who has the experience as well. Power, this is his neighborhood. Jamrosik attacking again, relentless. The American today, Daniel Jamrosik, certainly. This one has to get you the red number of our most aggressive rider, Nathan. Second
here, 6.0
attack of the day.
Now it looks like he may be able to make this happen. Gamps now 6.6 watts per kilogram. This is that point where they don't really care too much about the sprints any longer. I might eat my words in just a moment here, but
if there was ever a rider that you'd underestimate. Now, I mean, wouldn't you think that, after Jamrosik going in the early break, you'd say, oh, well, no way. But this is where the exceptional riders shine. Gamst going up to him now. Very interesting moment in this race.
Yeah, Young here has also got a little bit of a gap. So these gaps matter.
For sure do.
Theme here now noticing, it looks like Jamrosik's just going to take the sprint. Nobody really challenging. Beast mode now with Christoph Thiem now coming over to the top. Solid little effort here, and it's all back together pretty quickly, actually.
The German
no
just
counters,
slamming it.
Done. Shut the door.
Yikes. So Christoph there's going to get a reaction. It looks like we're going to see Martin Mertens moving up. That's got to have everybody just thinking that we got to pin it to win it at this point now, because still a long ways to go. Boy, Nathan, in the previous race here out of Europe and East, we watched 3-4 riders fire off the front only to be brought back into the fold. So you've got to get your timing just right here. Way too early at this point, unless you know something that the rest of the peloton doesn't. It's a big day of racing, isn't it?
Next race starting in about 5 minutes. We've got, don't worry, everybody. We've got the other race lined up and ready to go in just a moment here. But as they're going to be racing a little bit over an hour. Oh, man. Back to back racing. The Western coming in just a moment. I'm being told that we do have some solid riders in the C0 as well there. We will be covering the C3s. We had a little bit of mishap here for the C3s in the Central, so apologies on that. But definitely Western here just about to ramp up for the
it could have been
women.
We ended up with an incredibly exciting race out here to stay in with. This has been brilliant. To recap for anybody just joining us, we've had a 3-rider breakaway that certainly was dangerous. It was out to 40 seconds at one point. Then the peloton got serious about things. It certainly seemed to be Joseph Chodek was one of the riders, Christoph Thiem, another that were participating. I noticed that Power got up there as well, the Belgian rider, Chell Power. So it was no one team that brought it back. One team that's done everything they could to keep the break away was Cryo, and we think that they're pretty well positioned. I think both Nathan and I are agreeing that Martin Mertens is a rider to watch for the finale. Talking about Christoph Thiem of Rose Beast Mode, Nathan, in my mind, he's also going to be there, but I'm starting to lean towards Chell Power the way things are going right now. He's got to be licking his lips as he's just got to hang in there with this group. Joachim Leeson there just saw that Danish flag popping up. He might be the rider that upsets everybody's apple cart out here today as well. It doesn't get much better than a finale like this as we hone in on 5.5K to go.
As far as riders that can make things happen as well, Adam Zimmerman,
good call.
They're both riding for
and
Insured, it looks
right?
like. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, Joe Power and Adam Zimmerman matched up. I mean, Joe's got a solid almost 2 watt per kilogram more, but they're right around the same power numbers when it comes to that personal best 15 seconds. So we'll see. And the experience
They
from
both
both
have
of those
so much
riders
experience.
is
Yeah.
very, very high. So beating those two out today, Priority T though, also with that level of experience, I would say. Rose Beach.
I don't know
Rose,
if you
the
could
new
find
kids on
a
the block,
10.
but I mean, Christoph Thiem is also just
Not
solid, a very,
lacking.
very smart
Yeah.
rider. And they, Beast
Agreed.
Mode might play some games here because I don't think they want to take it to the line.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, Nathan, 2-rider tandem with more experience than Zimmerman. Taking a look now, Cryo here. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. What can Martin Mertens do up against those two? This is really exciting. Eddie's still hanging in there. The guys who rode in the breakaway are all still up in this group, which is even more impressive.
A little bit of question popping in before we get into the final couple K here. Nathan, Dave, what's a good strategy for the week of rider tonight? All in lap 1 or save energy for laps 2
100%.
and 3?
You know what? Can I take a crack at it first, Nathan?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Obviously, you come in with so much more experience and in real life experience, but I would say the former, because if you don't, you won't be there for the latter part of it. You can't really, in a race like today, it's going to be 2 laps for your group. You got to go really hard early and just try to make the best group that you can, and then let the cards fall, chips fall where they may. What do you think about that, Nathan?
Yeah, I would say exactly the same thing. You don't ever let the group go. You stick with the group.
You can't
that
ride
you
into the
possibly
race.
can.
It's
You can't. You don't let anything go. You don't blow yourself up and find yourself completely off the back with a group that you could have never held on to. But
you have to understand your limits. Yeah, absolutely.
There's still the reality though that with these groups here and the way that the course plays out, you gain so much time on your competition just going with a group that you can maybe hold them off even if you do get dropped. So, I mean, hanging in with a group that you're riding above your pay grade is a way to go for sure when it comes to
always try to punch above your weight. Punch above your weight for as long as you can, but don't blow a gasket. Don't go so deep that you can't recover. You have to know when you've hit.
It's not like Watopia Mountain where you've got to just ride your own race, steady it all the way over the top. It definitely is stick with the pack. Stick with the pack. Don't let the wheels go.
The Gamps name one of the power couples in esports racing. And this is going to be, well, look at Jem Rosick now throwing some huge numbers up there. Jem Rosick has been a hero of the day, no doubt about it. All right. Only the strong need apply near the
Gamps. He's got a low watt per kilogram kick. He's got to get away. Jem Rosick as well. I'm not sure wants to come to the line. These guys who know they don't have the sprint, they are pushing at this point, Dave.
Yeah, and I think at this point, Nathan, to be honest, what you're really doing is trying to set up the finale for another rider, your teammate here, with a move like this, because these guys now are starting to believe that they're going to have a shot at it. That gives you that adrenaline boost that you need at the right time. And exactly the case here. I have to think that Eddie is turning himself into the outstanding teammate that he's always been here for the Toyota Cryo team. Martin Mertens benefiting from this, Nathan. Right behind him. Hopefully his these efforts for Eddie will pay off for the Toyota Cryo team today.
Yeah, it's going to force a chase too. That's the thing. I mean,
That's exactly it. That's how you do it. That's cards to play.
exactly. So Eddie's already throwing down a ton of energy on the course at this point. And not wasted. It's not wasting it at all. This is just forcing Beast Mode and others at this point to try and chase things down while the rest of the Toyota Cryo can just sit in and wait.
Boy,
so Eddie, you're 7-6. He might be able to do this because the others might not chase. They're just going to start looking at each other.
I was just going to say, if there's ever a rider that you would write off after everything that's gone on out here today, it would be that man. Well, or these two men. Two of the original 3 breakaway riders are off of the front right now. We're coming up on just over 2K to go. This would be an absolute, talk about coming back from the dead. I didn't even think these guys would be able to get over the Richmond hills here. The finale of the Richmond Classic for Central Europe is an absolute Donnybrook going on. And look at the names moving up to the front. There's Christoph Thiem.
They're gone.
These guys are not
They're gone. They are gone. 5 seconds at this point. 7 watts per kilogram. Nobody's bringing this back. There's no team to chase this down.
I still believe that they're not gone, Nathan. I still think that we've got enough real estate here. As here we go,
okay,
the
well,
big play. This is why we make
happen.
a race the entire distance. This is going to be
absolutely. I didn't think anybody was going to do it. I didn't think anybody was going to try and go across because they're just going to start looking at each other because now Gamst is wasting his effort. Now Gamst is caught out at this point. And so it's kind of this point. It's like now he's taking a risk and nobody else is going to risk now too. So, oh my goodness, this is.
I still believe.
The games.
The game. This is what it's all about. It's a Machiavellian chess match. I still believe. And here we go. It's Joachim Lisson. I was saying one of the guys to really watch. He's completely committed now. Oh, boy. What's going on behind him? Because Lisson looks like he's going to be the gold standard out here.
He caught him out. He caught them all out. Lisson's going to come over the top here. Can he hold on to this, though? Because Eddie Ulg still has 8 watts per kilogram to give. Joseph Chudik ramping it up 3 seconds back. But I think these boys are gone. Lisson tries to get across here, but he's only got the kick. Eddie Ulg's got 10 watts per kilogram to give still here. Is Eddie Ulg going to make this happen? He might. He's got an arrow power up.
Oh, my goodness.
No way, Eddie.
Absolutely incredible.
It looks like, but he's fading.
Absolutely.
Right to the line. Eddie Ulg, Cryo RDT, show why they are the cream of the crop. Joseph Chudik trying to come across. He's going to settle for second, I think, in a sprint with Lyson. And Lyson just barely. Joseph Chudik third. And it's going to be Eckhart followed up by, oh my gosh, is it Baron Boril? Oh, man, what a race.
I haven't seen a race like that in a long time. How about the South African Eddie Ulg? That's just amazing. Riding in that breakaway, having the wherewithal. Same thing for Daniel Jamrozic, who ends up on the podium. Such courage today. I've never seen anything like it, Nathan. That was one of the most unique days that we've seen. Richmond Classics never disappoint. Holy cow. Holy cow.
Seriously.
Can you believe it?
Insane.
Can you believe Eddie wins that race? That speaks to so many of the beautiful things about what esports are all about. Certainly never give up. Never discount your chances. We thought he was setting up his teammate.
How did he do that? This is, oh my gosh, amazing.
Well, we talked about here. In order to make a break work, Nathan, there's so many different ingredients. One is they have to believe to a certain extent that you can't do it. You have to prove them wrong. Eddie, you did exactly that. This was a standout ride for the king of Richmond.
I thought Lyson was going to get across there at least. Joseph.
100%. You could see.
Look at how close it was in the end, too. Look at how close it was still in the end. Joseph was only 2 seconds back after that huge gap that opened up. So, I mean.
Remembering that Joseph also had that poorly timed technical issue that, not saying that cost him the race, but certainly he burned some watts that he wouldn't have wanted to through the middle part there. Impressive ride from Joseph Chudik today as well. Incredible race.
Back in with a few of the chasers here as we look to find our other race out on course. That will be the Western European as they are out on course with the C zeros. We'll see how stacked this race is as well. Um, as these boys are racing for the top 40th or so out on the day here. But um, at the front end, oh, this is gonna be awesome. This is so great to see. Actually, we're gonna bring this in right away because I want a huge shout out. Um, I'm blown away actually, and if he's live streaming, I definitely want to see how he is doing.
The
I
man
mean,
himself, Caleb Carl.
Caleb Caro, after a crazy, life-threatening crash, actually, I believe surgeries and all kinds. I mean, like Carl from Skylab back out
It's
on course
amazing.
here, making the front group even. So, I mean,
There was a lot of concern in the community for
yeah,
Caleb's
huge. Just
well-being.
disappeared
Yeah,
off the off the radar. Wasn't sure
hit
if
by
we'd
a
see him.
car.
No,
Wasn't
he hit
that?
a he was descending, I think, at super high speeds and had a crash
Oh,
into a pole or something along those lines. So really great to see that Kayla's back out here and definitely a huge part of the racing community. This guy does back to back to back racing and great to see him back in here from Skylab. I do see
did
the Twitch
we
chat cheering him on and happy to see him out here.
in some of the community racing, Nathan, we would see him race 3 races in a row and finish on the podium even during that run. It's amazing, as you said, to see him back racing at all, let alone in this front group. That's incredible. Caleb, welcome back. Good for you.
Yeah, great to see. We do have a lot of a ton of the
Did you
chat,
see Adam's comment?
a lot of cheering coming on in here. Debbie coming on. I'm just gonna bring them all on in here, and Chris Smart coming on in. Some Pog champs coming from Pookie here. Orange numbers all day long. Muns now as well, and Debbie with the celebrate. I'm loving this here, and Toyota Priority T hanging out over at the YouTube channel, giving him a little bit of a celebration. But Adam saying, "Yo, that was hard," and I think I can definitely that looked really difficult as him as Zim. Did you have some dropouts or something? I saw maybe your internet might have been going a little bit wacky as we headed into the final few kilometers, actually. But
I
did
want to
look like
figure
a
out
couple
where
of them.
Adam is these days. There's all kinds of rumors that he moved to a farm in Michigan. I don't think he's in Boulder anymore. So farm internet might not be as awesome as what you get in Boulder.
All kinds of rumors. I like there's all kinds of
All kinds of
suspicion about
rumors.
where Adam Zimmerman is in the world. Where is Zim? It's like where in the world is Carmen San Diego or
That was a
fucking where's Waldo?
star-studded field we had in that race. That's for sure. That's going to go down for me, Nathan, as one of the top 5 most memorable esports races that I've seen. I was talking about that Leonard Tugel solo win. That win from Eddie is right up there. Being in the break, yeah. Daniel Jimrosik also deserves credit. Nope, it's Adam is still in Denver. We're hearing
Oh,
so.
oh. So Adam's interesting. Huh. A little bit of a. This is going to be the truth off the front here. Veritas making a move. Marrero trying to shut things down. This is 7 watts per kilogram here coming from Calcutta. This is a serious move. And this is that new team that we've been out of Portugal that's really put their name on the map as of recently. And they're showing us exactly why here as they go off the front. Guys is there as well. Watch out for him from Team Draft always. Good to see Bartali in the race. Bramwell, another name that is very familiar. And at 143 beats per minute, using this draft, I get the feeling that Bramwell maybe just kind of letting the race come to him and not so much wasting energy up front, knowing that it's a long day in the saddle.
Boy, yeah. I mean, it's interesting how almost everything that you've learned in cycling was they proved you could be wrong about out there with riding in that break and coming back to win the race. You just don't see that much. So again, heart, courage, desire, catching a break here, there really do come into play. But with such a tough day of racing, again, for anyone just joining us now, we're moving into Europe West, and this is our C0 category. 49K of racing for this group, 3 laps. Our other race, the C3s that we're in with today, will be doing 2 laps, which is plenty rugged on its own out there here on the Richmond reverse course, the 2015 World Championship course. Just doing it backwards doesn't make it any easier. That's for sure.
Definitely want to highlight that there is a massive amount of streamers out here today for this race, like a ton. I'm seeing the entire page of let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 4. We're looking at 24 streams, most of them the Zwift Classics out here today. So great to see. Caleb, it does look like he's just started his live stream, it looks like, actually. So good to see Caleb, and is looking pretty healthy out here today. So back at it here. We'll see if we can bring him into the live stream for a moment or two as he's out here. But this attack coming from Veritas
Looks like a tough moment. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 seconds now? I don't think that. I think this is said and done, though. I don't. This is coming right on back.
Will have an impact there, though. You could see the group had to string out, so I'm sure a bunch of guys are getting up and out of the saddle. Gajda, the draft rider, with us here today, starting to kind of moving into. I see Matt Wheeler, restart rider, also in this field as I dig a little deeper into our start list. Pedro Nunez, another lot of Portuguese flags today, Nathan. Again, it's not just that Veritas team, the F Cancer team also out here racing with some Portuguese riders. Luis Andrade as well. There's Caleb.
Yeah, he's looking pretty comfy. He's always got that steady grind of a always got the
Wattage
steady
monster.
Grind. Yeah, definitely wattage monster out here. Making the lead group, as you can see. And not under any kind of pressure just as of yet. So we'll see if things ramp up a little bit more in a moment. But we also do have a few others. I mean, we'll give you an idea of the amount of, I mean, there's just a ton of streamers out here today, which is always really great to see. The community doing a great job. Zico is in here as well from the vegans, and this is actually really impressive. Coming from Zitore, as this is a level that I've not really seen him race at before. So, he's been making these league groups more and more and more. He was, I believe, more of a B rider in the past here, or upper B level, and good to see.
AutoCat's doing him right.
Yeah,
AutoCat taking care of him.
Solid effort. He's got a great looking stream, actually. If you've never seen it before, head on over there. Team Vegan. They're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Strava. It says at the top there, as you can see. So, and
very steady. It looks like an accomplished racer right there, right? There were just a steady effort. Good look at what it takes out here.
Yeah, how many are in this league group? It looks like, I mean, 8 sitting in that. He's got a few. Does he? Where's this? What's his? Oh, 10 million. He's doing okay. He's doing okay. Gotta double that there. Gotta double that to really get into the
level 200s.
Oh, okay. We're just flexing a little bit over here. So
you were saying, by the way, you kind of made a quick drop and we moved on quickly, but the new Pinarello bike has been identified as a hot one, huh?
Yeah, the new Dogma. So Anna is like all about it. I think she just
is this in Zwift Insider or is this her personal?
It's on Zwift Insider that it's one of the faster it's the fastest all around bike at this point. But I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a look at it myself. I'm gonna have to see what I'm thinking here when it comes to that. So we'll see how that ends up playing out for my take on things. But Dobson here now to a little bit of a kick off the front again. Veritas just continues to do this. And it's Calcutta. on the front here, 5.5. And he's doing it at a section, though, where, these cobbles, yeah, you can kind of give it a little push, 6 watts per kilogram, but, maybe looking for someone to come across in the sprint, that could be the tactic here. But I think that's the whole group is just going to come right back. And wow, even using an arrow power up, interesting enough. So 7.5, 47 kilometers per hour, really ramping up. But this is going to be about trying to get
It's
somebody to
about
come across in the
points.
sprint.
All right.
Maybe pro. Yeah, that's a good point. It might be just about first across the line.
You can see the finish arch right there, or actually the line in question right there.
We were talking about
Looks like he's got it.
Look at Wheeler. Whew. Head down.
Restart rider Matt Wheeler. Good to see him back in the mix here. You're going to see a lot more of that kid. Oh, just going to get him in line there.
Line there. Electric Spirit makes it happen with Endersby. The new pickup, I think, for Electric Spirit. Ordvik now from Norway over the top for HDR, it looks like. And then it is going to be a little bit of separation. This is a danger moment here a little bit. You don't want to let these go too far. They can get out of control. Carl now just shutting it down like nothing even happened.
Do you remember Electric Spirit, Nathan, Electric Spirit, out before ZRL Season 3? Were they on your radar?
I think they were in the TTT a little bit.
Were they? Okay.
Maybe, but
I feel like that they were a team that came
recent.
on.
It's very recent. It is very recent. It's
okay,
last
good.
year. Not even
2020.
Last 6 months to 9 months. And they definitely have upped their game because they did start, I think, in kind of a little bit of a not really in the upper ranks. And now to be in and amongst a C0 race like this with that name is definitely something a little bit newer. So good to see them making that move.
And it's not just one or two strong riders. You're starting to get the feeling that they've got some critical mass building there. Talking about electricspirit.co, also known as Electric Spirit Company.
Now, if you're just joining in with us, I do want to highlight here real quick. We didn't go over to too much. We jumped right on into the racing here, but this is the Zwift Classics, everybody. The final race of the day that we will be covering on the broadcast. It is going to be Western Europe C0 here. Next week, we've got Watopia Cup run done on Innsbruck there on the 17th. That will be on the Innsbruck Ring. Trofeo Bologna there, followed up by the London International, which will be a straight-up sprinters course. So that's what's happening here. But right now, we are out on the UCI Richmond's World Reverse for 49 kilometers. They've got 2 laps to go into their first lap here of 49 kilometers. And it looks like these boys maybe can be taking this on just a little bit slower than we've seen some of the other racers. They've calmed right on down. I think this is going to be over a 20-minute lap for their first lap. In the other races, we did see a little bit faster than that, right around the 20-minute mark. I think these boys are going to be doing it at about 21 and a half-ish or so, maybe even a little bit more, which may mean a larger group to the line, perhaps, as they're saving a lot of energy out here today, or maybe just the attacks are going to be that much more when they do go.
It's interesting how that works. We were with Bill Dobson there, Wahoo Lacole rider. Sometimes, Nathan, when you have that larger group together, it is vulnerable for that late race attack, as we witnessed from Eddie Uhl, taking a brilliant solo win after riding in a breakaway for a majority of the race, a small group off the front. So it is really, really hard to predict the finale for these races here. But this size group is where we really seem to be settling in after one lap of racing. These are the riders that have been able to make it around that first journey around the circuit, which is really, really intense.
On the front, Andrew Gadja, always a long-time viewer and racer. Good to see him as just controls the pace. Things just completely calmed down, though, here in the race here. 3.0 watts per kilogram. Not really. I mean, the only rider that's really made any moves is going to be the Veritas rider. And that's been shut down each and every time at this point. And maybe it's a smart way to play. You know, you're looking forward to some pretty serious climbs, right? And you've got a large group here. There's no reason to really give a go at this point. Maybe on the back end of the flatter section of the course, if you got enough landscape to work with, really get some sort of a gap established. But at this point, with the downhills coming up and the climbs, you're just going to save up and wait for the moment to pop anybody off who suffered the first time over.
With that much intensity in the last lap of the race, you want to make sure you've got as much charge on your battery as you possibly can have. I have a feeling, especially after watching the last couple of races here, that these guys are all going to try to play this one, keep the cards close to the vest out here, Nathan. We're talking about the climbing as we just took a look at the circuit. They're racing on 3 laps for this group, 430 meters, over 49K. Not all that much per se if you were to distribute that evenly throughout the distance, but we don't distribute it evenly. It comes at you in some serious body blows, talking about going up the backside of 23rd, same thing up to the top of Libby. And yeah, that's really where it seems like the most damage can be done. But it's a different race to the finish line as well. Just a long, hard drag, never super steep, but certainly punishing to get there. A little bit of a break going away now.
This. Yeah, this is interesting. A little bit of a go, actually.
Getting a response as well.
It's actually not a bad idea here with 2 riders here from Veritas. And on this down to 3 riders, actually. And if they can snowball, it's not the worst move in the world. I mean, if they got to play this really, really smart, though. I mean, on this downhill section coming up here, if they don't snowball this, if they don't go over the top, and we've got to see somewhere in the 70 kilometer per hour range very, very quickly. They can't do this. This is not the way. This is just not the way that this is going to stay away. At this point, they're just going to go right back in. And this rider's going to get caught so quickly on this downhill section here, actually.
It's a good example. Watch the group behind how much faster they're going once they start avalanching here, which they're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're essentially would have had to avalanche over and over the top of each other again and again and again is what we needed to see there from Veritas if they were going to make something happen.
About the group of, correct. Yeah. Really a great display there, though, of how much quicker that group moves up on a solo rider just dangling there. One thing's for sure, though, Calzada is going to be aggressive out here today.
It's been nonstop aggression coming from the Veritas rider. Bronte's here, though, a little bit off the back. This is what happens when you try and pull a move like that. Didn't end up working out too well. And timing. You've got to know the course if you're going to try and pull any kinds of moves. Now, Humpton here from Electric Spirit Company as well. Good to see these moves coming in from Electric Spirit Company. And we did get a comment coming in. Season 2, ZRL, they were in the lower ranks, actually. Mid to lower ranks. So this is a big move for them into this upper echelon of the Zwift.
That's how you do it.
Racing world here.
It really is.
Yeah, I'm liking they're matching jerseys here. I'm liking that they did match up the jerseys here in the orange. Good to see. And
yeah, there's a sense of organization and camaraderie on the team. That's that's what you're looking for sure. You get some teams just have a good trajectory going, and then here he goes again. I must say, Diogo Calzada of the Veritas team. Hope I'm saying that right. Portuguese, very aggressive racing as a nationality, which we're seeing today.
Look at this arrow power up even. He wants to split this now. And Veritas, this is organized. Bronte's over the top.
Seems like there's a plan.
Yeah, for sure. 3 seconds, 4 seconds. It's going out quickly. This is enough time to make a move with, actually. But they've got to stay. This has got to get up to 57 quick.
Working together right now.
Waste too much effort. Get into that super tuck. Got us off the back, though. This is, see, again, you can't let these gaps go like this or it's just not going to work. Bronte's now off the front. It's going to slow down. And it's not going to be up into that 60s that they need. See what kind of speed these are. Look at this, 70 kilometers per hour. Look at the difference of the speed here. Now, the question is, what are they going to carry on through, though? Caleb Carl now coming toward the front. He got the kick is going to be the question. He's got a feather power up. Looks like he's going to be able to most likely hang on. 8-7. Caleb not always known for a really high kick, but he's got
see how that
a very steady high effort, though. And look
just
at
by
how
sitting
right in. Look at this. Brought right back in.
perfect example of how you surf and gameplay in Zwift, though, as you can go from sitting at the back of that group right up to the front of the bike race if you ride that roller coaster correctly there through that little sector. As seeing a bit of a reset going on the front right now, Nathan, as we move through the middle part of this race. Really, right now, as you take a look at the distance, it is the middle part of the races. There's Libby Hill in the background. Riders will be heading down that in just a
Oof.
moment, but they're up on top of that plateau.
We did jump across here real quickly over to the C3 for Western Europe. We'll jump back in with the other racers in just a moment here, but just wanted to jump on over and highlight and let everybody know they are on our radar. We do have them on the radar here. We're not completely ignoring the reality of their race as well. So we will jump in with them as much as we possibly can. We'll get back in with the racers and the COs, though, here in just a moment. Huge group as they make their way toward the around. And back in, though, with the front end. This is going to be Antoj as he's just getting dropped off, actually, of the C0s here at this point. I was not expecting this from this rider, actually. Shows the show. Very quickly, things just opening right on up. 20 seconds gone. And Matt Wheeler is even off the back here at this point. I mean, this is
It's a surprise.
serious separation as you go to show how incredibly difficult this course is.
Actually, and you start wondering how many guys are in this front group. Caleb Carl makes it, but looks like not much more than a dozen. Certainly less than 20 up there in the front group now. So a bit of a selection made out there over the last couple of minutes.
See if we can find where the main work is.
These guys seem to be backing off just a little bit right now, Nathan, or maybe not backing off, but not pressing all that hard.
And that's kind of been the story here, actually. That is kind of been the story here, and amongst them is that they go crazy hard over the top of those climbs, and then we haven't really seen the same kind of racing aggression though for a breakaway.
The continuance isn't there.
It just hasn't been there. It's been kind of like snap everybody off. We've made the lead group. Now we're going to roll around and watch each other till we hit the next climb, essentially.
I start wondering, I mean, earlier I was discounting the chances of groups coming back into the front group. But when you're riding like this, that's where all of a sudden you see guys that you thought you might not see again, all of a sudden are rolling right into the back of the group. But now it's sitting at 31 seconds, so it actually went up from the 22 the last time we checked in back with Group 2 on the road.
If you get an idea of what kind of watts per kilogram these guys are holding, this is going to be a top 14 that have made this lead group, and we're talking 4.6 so far, 4.7 to make this front group with the more aggressive riders. If you think about what we saw in the Central Europe, it was closer to 5.5 to 6.0 at this point for those who are off the front, and to be in the main group, it was right around that 5.0, a little bit less just to make the group. So almost a full watt per kilogram at the upper end in this.
Yeah, boy, for a while out there, the break never really went below 5 watts per kilo for a good half hour of racing. It was an exceptional effort being made. It's absolutely incredible that Eddie was able to hold on to win that race. I'm still wrapping my mind around that finale that we saw from Central Europe. But this one's going to be different, no doubt about it. This is the kind of group right now, and especially the way that they haven't been going that hard, that there might be one rider that does have that solo attack in them to hold on for the win. Wouldn't bet against it out here with this group.
No, and as we go through, it does. Let's get a look at who is who here amongst this group right now. John Deek here from the British Hot Cranks have made this. BHC, I'm loving this team. They've got a lot of good energy and pretty technical savvy riders as far as the technicalities go with the BHC riders. Doing some pretty cool things when it comes to live streaming and data points as well. The BHC Berlin Hot Cranks, it looks like was founded in the winter of 20 and 2021 by a handful of cycling enthusiasts from Berlin. and the Harz Mountains to take part in the virtual team time trial races. At that point, nobody on the team thought of Zwift and Beyond Winter. Obviously, then Corona happened to change everything, so here they are, loving it. And they do have a Strava club out there, it looks like, and a YouTube channel. Let's see if they're actually streaming on their YouTube channel, but that's the BHC team. Steven Ludendorff, super, super long time Zwifter. He's been around for a really, really long time, actually, in the community. I think he might have even been a beta user. So great to see him still out there and really energizing the community with the BHC team. Wouldn't be surprised if he was a big part of making that happen, actually, that team's founding. A little bit of a kick out the front, though, here from Herrero. And again, Abrantes, Veritas, they've been the ones taking the race to everybody else and making this race aggressive. Everybody else, I think, kind of watching Veritas with the kind of aggression that they've had today.
Espen Hordvik, the Norwegian rider on AHDR, a rider that has been able to produce some great results along the way. We'll see if he's able to replicate that out here today. Getting a little more active up on the front here, Nathan.
Yeah, I mean, we're about halfway through the race here. Now, at this point, you got to start asking questions about how you're going to play this. Is it just going to be a hangout with everybody to the line? You've noticed what these other riders can do, what kind of powers they can throw down. You've seen that, what kind of risks they're willing to take. Most likely going to be able to match anything that you put over the top of those climbs again. So now do you start taking some risks at other points on the course? That's what I'd be doing. I'd be starting to think about, well, I got a lot of land, a lot of road to work with here for this next half a lap or so. Why not try and do something with it and not just sit in? Because anybody that's coming to the line with me, they've already made those climbs the last couple of times. So Okada says, okay, let's go. Looks like Morero Brantes as well, right on board with that. Andrew Gods is there as well, it looks like, at 6.2 watts per kilogram. Not seeing those 10s, though. We're not seeing those big, big attacks. Okada, though, separation a little bit. I think this is all going to stay together.
I don't know that Variatus is all wearing the same kit, to tell you the truth.
And they are not.
Right. And so that kind of is a little deceiving in that they've got 3, maybe 4 riders in this front group, and they've been active as well. Diogo Calzada has been one of the riders. Well, actually, he's attacked more than anyone else out here so far through the first 32 minutes of this race. I have a feeling that they might be playing some team tactics for us. I think that's Torres, the vegan bull, up there. And yeah, it's starting to get a little bit chippy, starting to activate things. I think that we're looking at the calm before the storm here, because we've talked about how timing is so important out here.
Murrow, I think the Portuguese. Nice little kick here, 189 beats per minute. And now we've got 11 watts per kilogram. Oh, there, though. BHC is going to take down.
Yep.
Okada, who's going to go here? Somebody coming over the top? Torre, perhaps? 10 watts per kilogram? No, I think he just wants to hang on. He's going to settle right on down.
I think he's just moving up. Yeah, getting positioning. Being aware that an attack could come shows me that everyone's attentive. But nobody wants to play those cards, which I don't blame them right now, because, Nathan, of all the racing we've watched so far today, this group has to have the freshest legs at this point.
You were talking about this rider out of Norway that had made this front group, Espen from the AHDR. And he's got a pretty solid FTP, actually. It's a solid 5 minute, I would say, 5.57, 407 watts, actually. So he can kick over the top of these climbs. You can kick over the top of the climbs. The FTP, not necessarily right there. And
that's the kind of guy, though, that maybe attacks 2K out to try to catch him off guard.
Exactly. Not necessarily somebody who wants to sprint. Not necessarily somebody who wants to go off the front. Unless he can get into a breakaway. That would be...
He's the kind of guy that 2 or 3 riders like himself might get it done. I have to think that Norway is about as far from Australia as you could possibly be. I wonder how he hooked up with the AHDR. The AHDR is obviously not entirely, but that's an Australian-based team, Nathan, correct?
It is, yes, 100%.
Yeah. You don't see a lot of Norwegians on the Australian Hump Day ride team. So Clearly, he's got some. He's cool. I'm sure. Let's take a look at our front group right now. Coming up pretty quickly on one lap to go.
So I'm getting messages here from Beast Mode, and they're letting us know that we missed one of the best moments in Zwift racing history, and I wouldn't disagree necessarily. It looks like I'm gonna give a shout out to this, and it looks like Julie Chalot won the C1s against the boys today by 17 seconds, actually.
Is that right?
So, yeah.
That's
yeah.
yeah.
Huge
Not for a lack of
accomplishment.
our caring. You can only cover so
Not at
many
all.
races.
You can only cover
right,
so
Nathan?
much.
But
You can only cover so
Yeah.
much. And
that's awesome
I'll
to
be
hear.
honest. I'll be honest. This was he put it on my radar, and I saw the level in the C1s. I was like, I wonder what's gonna happen there. Is she gonna be able to hang on over the climbs? And she made me eat my words 100%, or my thoughts. I didn't say it out loud, but wow,
She made you eat your
that's
thoughts.
yeah. I mean, that's
That's
absolutely
a
crazy.
stunner.
Huge stunner. Huge stunner
don't-
there from Julie in beast mode. I mean, that's watch out Premier Division, because she just stomped on. I mean, Seb was in there with her, and I wonder if he played it out for her to make that happen. Martin Jarland was in there. Charlie Ryan.
That's
I mean,
unprecedented, wouldn't you say? I mean, I hate to go over the top, but I haven't heard of anything like that before. That's like incredibly high level when you're talking about
Rachel. Definitely.
Rachel Elliott has done
Elliot
that.
is definitely that level.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Walked away early days to the point that people were like, "This is not real." Like there's no like. It was to the point that there was huge amounts of criticism coming actually, and it was getting hard on Rachel Elliott because she was beating the guys so often.
Didn't you tell the story though of showing up at an in real life event in Vegas and just absolutely backing it up and shutting everyone right up?
It was a real life. Yeah. There was an in real life event that.
Was it in Vegas?
Stomped. It was.
Did I get
it was
that?
actually in London, and
Vancouver?
she just shut London. Absolutely, just shut everybody down. So, and walked away with some amazing power numbers.
And has truly gone on to become one of our all-time favorites. Just an incredible class act, and quite a story that we've documented. Talking about Rachel Elliott, you can believe in Rachel.
She's got the numbers. She's got the numbers, and we'll see how Beast Mode play in this rest of these classics. And we're gonna definitely keep an eye on what categories Julie's in, and if she can continue on.
Well, I think
she might get an upgrade from that actually, because she really stomped on those boys. Guys are coming through. We're gonna have a sprint here. Marrero now, 8 watts per kilogram. Here we go. Hordvik. This was the rider we were just talking about, but I don't think he's gonna take this down. As Brontes comes on through with an arrow power up. Deco coming from the BHC. The hot cranks trying to heat it up to the line. Nope. Brontes takes it down again with a lap and a quarter to go or so. We're 28K into a 49K race, 20K to go at this point or so.
I'll be surprised if that final sprint looks anything like what we just witnessed, Nathan. I have a feeling it'll be more like trying to nail back one solo or a small group of riders out here. It's going to get frenetic out of this group. They get one good look at the finish line here before they head out on the last lap.
And Torre is still making this group, actually. I think he has really stepped up the training recently. Good to see.
Team Vegan, Portuguese rider as well. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's been a few weeks in a row now that.
As far as breadth of streaming goes, this guy streams out of everybody one of the most. He's also got a teammate who's out here streaming as well right now, and that's going to be Doom Nukin over on Twitch. Got a good amount of viewers, actually. Doom Nukin, good to see. Some long time.
Duke Nukem.
Doom Nukem. Doom Nukin.
Ah,
out
say
there.
that.
He's
Are you
actually
do you remember that game?
Oh yeah.
That might even.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You say if I could slip one by you, that would be just too mind blowing.
I don't know if that's going to happen. Everybody, let's try and play that game and see what happens. I'm not sure.
I don't know how they're doing at the Duke Nukem World Headquarters, but one thing, Nathan, again, it's been that kind of day today. First off, it's been an absolute blast covering these Zwift Classics. We're in with Richmond Classic today. But Nathan, what about Caleb Carl winning? How mind blowing would that be? Someone that I did not expect to see back racing at all, let alone in the front group at this level. C zeros, holy cow! Here he is right now in cruise control. I mean, this is Caleb Carl. We were in camera with him a little bit earlier. Looks
If
like
he
he's
wins
right in his
today,
wheelhouse.
if he wins today, it's gonna be absolutely awesome. I mean, like, talk
That should
about
bring
coming back.
the roof down,
I
right? I
mean,
mean, you
yeah,
would think that
after a huge injury and training his way back. I did see him the other day on and was super excited to see that. And we'll see how this ends up playing out here. I see the comment coming through. Is the mic a little low? We're just trying to keep Nathan's energy under wraps because it gets a little bit out of control at times. So we bring the levels within reason when it's not too hype. But appreciate the help there. Power
they just can't.
hype mad.
Yeah,
Good to see you. We just care about your ears. We just care about whether or not you have eardrums
that was for
after the
your own
race.
safety. Yeah, we're just trying to protect your hearing. There's been
Oh.
so much to get excited about out here today. Team Vegan. So this again, Torre Nathan, a rider that clearly belongs up at this level in this group, and we're going to start notching some big wins for that rider, no doubt about it.
100%. We'll see what happens with Torre. You know, you're kind of putting him on the spot here now. I think he's probably like,
Vegan
"Oh man,
bull.
I don't know about
Yeah.
this." Pool here now. ECC from the Vanga
Zico.
boys. I mean, there's all kinds of. This is like a lot of new riders. We should go through the whole list here because there's a lot of newer riders as well that I'm not super familiar with. Joseph Marrero here as well. This rider riding, I'm not sure who, I think he's riding unattached, coming out of Puerto Rico, actually. 23 races in total, so not a whole lot of them. He actually started racing back, though, on August 1st of 2020. Took a break after, wow, that's interesting. Took a break in September and then jumped back in January 30th of 2021. Did the Movistar Team Challenge, actually, community qualifier race. So I was actually racing with him a little bit. So good to see Marrero.
During the Movistar.
Yeah, during the Movistar Challenge. I jumped in with that, actually. So good to see his recent results. He got a third in the BMTR Fundo. That's a big ride, as well as the 3R Innsbruck Ring Flat Race. He took fifth back on the 17th of July. So a little bit of break and then jumping in with the Classics. Good to see Marrero from Puerto Rico joining us.
Did you have a chance to watch World of Zwift? I know you're on it, Nathan. So I watched you.
Well,
on
I saw the situation. I saw
You
the
did.
situation.
Good. That's what I was getting to.
The Gantova situation and the rowing. It was interesting how she talked about rowing being different in that on bikes it's just pedal
it's not
harder.
linear.
It talked about
Right,
just
yeah,
pedal
more power
harder.
you make, the faster you go, right? Yeah, I thought that was fascinating with Nadia.
It was super interesting. And then how she said, but in rowing, the technique makes it so that pedaling, or not pedaling, but rowing harder doesn't always equal going faster. And I kind of wanted to be like yes and no as far as cycling goes. There is the just pedal faster, pedal harder, go faster idea there.
It's
but
a
there's
great
also,
discussion.
It is because
cornering, right? If the faster you can go out of corners, then that's technique, isn't it? In criterium racing, right? So if you're limited by your skills, you're going to have a real problem in criterium racing, but you still have to make the power too. I love it. It's the dynamics that make bike racing, that make sport so incredible. Looks like we got a dynamic coming from Electric Spirit Co. right now. This is going to be Dobson. Nathan Dobson's been one of the riders that's been all over the front out here looking to make things happen today. We've got a Dobson in one race and a Robson in the other, who've both been very active.
COs. Vanga Boy ECC here. This is the rider that's been on board since February 16th of 2020. The England CC Riders. This is a familiar team. They do jump into the WTRL TTT.
Do Do you know much about James Latimer, the Irishman
That was
in
actually
this
one of the
race?
riders I was going to highlight because I don't actually know a whole lot
Yeah, no, this
about
is a breakthrough performance
Latimer.
out here today for Latimer.
And the AutoCAT system is gonna have a little bit to do with some of that, right? Like, there's gonna be riders who are mixing it up with other riders that they've not been in with in the past, right? So, um, coming out of Ireland, got an FTP of 266 watts, a lighter rider, 57 kilograms. He's got a solid FTP of 4.8. He took eighth in the Zwift Classics in the Apple Lap. Not bad in the C1s. A little bit of an upgrade then as he jumps into the zeros here. So that's a pretty big jump for Latimer. Solid as he makes his way to the front. I wonder if he's a punchier climber here. Oh, this is going to go up this climb here because being a lighter
All
rider,
signs
this might
point
be
to
able to favor him.
yes. Yeah, like St. Patrick's Hill in Cork. We'll see how quickly he can scramble right up this one. That's going to be Latimer that we're in with right now, the Irish rider that Nathan was just talking about. This is our front group here as they are out on the last lap, and this is the pinch point. You got to get through this now. But if you've done already, these guys have been through this sector 2 times. We'll see how much damage they can do out here this time through. 9%,
Latimer, he does have a
10% grade.
13. He does have a 13 watt per kilogram sprint. Not bad at all. Watch out for him in the end here, jumping up at the 8.5. Now, this is a rider that's only been on board with Zwift since November of 2020. So this is only his first 9 months or so out here. He did jump right on into the WTRL team time trials actually within the first couple of weeks of racing. So it does look like WTRL has been a big part of him getting into the Zwift racing world. As he jumps over the top here, it looks like he's wearing a level 20 kit. I wonder if that's his highest level. Let's see here. If he just likes that.
Or he likes pink.
Level
right?
29. He's level 29. So it is just that he likes to show off the level 20 kit. Kakata doing again what he does.
I've noticed the level 20 kit seems to be the most popular of the level kits, and it's clearly maybe Giro d'Italia, Maglia Rosa. People like the pink for sure. It's fashion statement.
Not going to disagree with that one. Not going to disagree with that one one bit.
You know, Martin noting as we're sort of in a new era of racing that the classes are not categories, that they change the labels weekly, and most riders will have raced in different classes out here. So it certainly makes sense. Take a look at the Venga boys here.
I don't understand. We need to have a discussion about these definitions. Like, I race in what category or class do I race in real life? Like,
that's a Martin question.
Yeah, yep. I don't understand the differentiation there. I mean, we're just changing the definition of the category boundaries, probably. I don't know, but
I don't know either. But one thing I would say is that
so the category term though has always been alongside of A, B, C, and D, I guess. So there's that, right? And then you separate the definition of how that all works by calling it classes. So that makes a lot of sense. I mean, what do I call? So what I'm rank. My rank in other esports games. Level? Then my rank. Well, no, level is I can level. So level is like just you grind out levels. So when you grind out a level,
speaks to experience, like how much time
you put in. Exactly. But if my rank though, I'm a diamond level player in Apex. That's my rank, right? So maybe classes and rank are the same if you try and go across. I'm not sure. But then category, I don't know how category would even fit into other.
We might be looking at a bit of a jailbreak.
We're talking, yeah. We're totally in this other world, and God's just off the front here saying, guys, look at what I'm doing here.
What have they taken it down to 10 riders? Not even that here. Caleb Carl's one of the names still up in this selection, but they punched some tickets there. Not saying it's game over. We've seen some riders really fight back, but they're going to want to press on right now. Make hay while it's in the field. And they have a few riders now, and one of them is Espen.
Oh, now over the top here now, Kakata. This is a danger moment because look at how much it's whittled down here. There's not a lot of people to work with now at this point. Osler as well from GFTBE now, the Belgian rider now coming across. 3 a little bit out the front here. They do not want this to come back. Guys are now on the back. He's going to hang on. 139 beats per minute. He's got plenty to work with. Caleb Carl there as well. And now Ortvik here needs to get back on terms. Latimer's trying to do it here as well. I think they're going to make it happen, though. It's calming down at the front. Carl might see that and come over the top. I don't think the fitness is there maybe just yet from this monster of a rider.
See, they don't want to pot commit up in this front group completely, and that's going to allow a few more riders to fight their way back in. It's a much smaller group than we had it when they came through with one lap to go here. James Latimer is going to get back into the group, so the Irishman back into the front group.
Electric Spirit Company off the back. Well, company, sorry, CO. Electric Spirit.co. Here we go. Off the back. Decal's been dropped. Dobson's been dropped. Marrero, we were just talking about, it's been dropped at this point. Latimer having a huge ride out here today. Gale's here from the bike zone.
I'm surprised there's not one orange jersey up in this group for electricspirit.co.
Yeah, interesting to see. Not enough there.
They got caught on the back foot there from a real surge.
Huge ride by Zico here. The bull making it happen. And maybe going to show off for us out here today and have a breakthrough ride. Being told by Martin that each week the classes have different settings, power, age, drag, and all sorts of other things. They are test tube labels. They aren't categories and never mean the same thing from one week to the next. It's full on test labs. You're essentially watching test labs.
It's been
WTRL.
Fun to watch.
I'm liking it.
I mean, it sounds like it's been going really, really well. As
now,
far
if this
as
were World of Warcraft, it'd be like the priest class. Are you a rogue? Are you a warrior? like this is not exactly classes. What class are you going to be?
You know what I love about Donkey Kong, Nathan? You know what I really love about Donkey Kong?
The Mario
is that we don't get bogged down in all of this stuff. You know, you're either saving the princess or you're not. You know, keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
So
gotcha.
I don't know, Nathan. I still believe that.
I think right now, though, they wish there was a priest class for Electric Spirit Co. Now at this point, they need some healing. At this point, as Humpton's off the back, Dobson trying to chase things down.
They need asteroids hyperspace where you just reappear in a different group than you were in.
Some Grossman power up in here at this point. Need to go plaid to get back on terms. He's doing it a little bit here, though, 4-4. And I'm just waiting for, like, the comeback king of Carl to just start opening up the floodgates. But I'm wondering if it's there. Now it is going to be Magalhaes. Magalhaes. Is that
Magalhaes here.
Magalhaes.
Yeah, this is Magalhaes, one of the
This is a real move. Real move here.
Yeah, this is very dangerous. 9K to go. This would have the alarm bells ringing all over the shop, all over downtown right now, as Magalhaes is one of the riders that absolutely, Luis Magalhaes is one of the Portuguese. Now, remember, Nathan, that they don't all wear the same kit, but that's going to take 1, 2, 3 riders out of the chase. Yeah, 3 riders of the 9 that remain won't be helping chase. Very, very good scenario.
Good point. This is, and I think it's going to be up to Team Draft and Vegan.
And Caleb Carl.
7 seconds now. That was not a name I'd like to see behind me, though. At all.
Carl.
Yeah, not one bit. Because him and Gata, they can just really set a high pace and go. So
at this point, Zico Torre deserves that credit as well. He's been very, very strong. The Team Vegan rider.
This is not a rider I want to let go, though. I'm looking at the power numbers here.
This is a big problem.
6.3, 6.1, 5.32 for 20. Huge power. Coming from the world of just strong riders on the mountain bike. I mean, he's a mountain biker.
Through and through. So he's doing exactly what playing to his strength. He's not going to want to sprint with the big dogs out here. He's going to where he can win this bike race. And even more importantly, Nathan, if he doesn't hold on, his teammates are getting a bit of a free ride right now. There is no free lunch in this world, but right now they're getting a nice benefit from the fact that everyone is having to chase their teammate. And he's pushed this out, Nathan. 13 seconds is the advantage right now. It's dangerous and it's getting worse if you're back in that peloton, unless you're flying the Portuguese flag.
The way that
more specifically the Veritas flag.
Yeah, the way that this pack has been behaving as well. The way that they've kind of been watching each other, this is a move that I would want to make amongst this pack because they just have not been interested in taking the race to anybody else. They've kind of sat around on these upper ends of the course, and I have a feeling that Veritas have just won this race actually. And also
Really?
the other
'Cause I
thing
don't know
is
if I
at
know that.
11.8 for 15 seconds, this is the move he has to make because he doesn't have the kind of kick that you
Sure.
see from some of these
Absolutely.
other riders.
My thought is, Nathan, I'll dovetail onto what you're saying. I do believe Veritas wins this race. I don't know if it's with Magalis or not, because it's going to be huge for riders like Abrantes, who will be able to sit on the chase. So right now they have their cake and they're eating it too. It's a good way to put it. You're going to have to do something special to beat them today. Adam Zimmerman's still saying it was hard, so he hasn't changed.
He's still sitting at the keyboard saying that was really hard. It was that difficult. An hour later, oh, that was hard.
It's like, get over it.
Is Cat C0 a new AutoCAT category? Yes, it is at the top.
And I think that these are all in play, right? Martin is kind of just doing his genius thing right now. And nothing is really set in stone. I think that it's not finalized. We're kind of just having fun working on nicknames.
We're getting a little bit of
you know what I'm saying?
Even within our broadcast studio right now, Anna's chiming in. What time is it there? She's waking up in the morning and checking in on AutoCAT. Talk about whiteboard professor, right? Like right now she's gotten up
genius.
like to just check in on what's going on with the classes. That's why I'm steadily on class decline. Anna's letting us know. It might also have to do with an addition to the family, I wonder. But Martin, how about you just talk? We do have you here in the background. So you got your mic on. I'm going to look and see if he's going to put his mic on and tell us more about the AutoCAT system as we come to the end of the race here.
By the
Caleb
way,
Carl, I'm seeing a name here making his way to the front. I thought he was going to give it a go.
Uh-oh.
No, it's calming down again. But it's 23
watch
seconds.
Watch the numbers
this is
change.
so far gone, though. This is so far at this point. Vladimir Abrantes here. There we go. 6 watts per kilogram. They got to start going, though. They can't do these little punches. They got to go. And if they're going to bring this back, they're gone.
So, yeah, while we have a moment here, the chase has begun. So they got the bit between their teeth. I think we can set that high watermark at 30, let me get a good split for you here. 23 seconds, I think we can use as that split right now. But Martin was recently on the Zwift cast as well, or the freshest Zwift cast out here, and really enjoyed his insight. There's so much going on at WTRL right now and their association with ZRL on all the AutoCAT stuff. I know that Martin is certainly the man of the hour. Does he have his headset on?
He does, but I want to really quick give an idea here. It didn't come through. So usually when Martin's in studio, all you hear is the clicking of keys. Just clicking of keys, because he's the programming mastermind programmer, just nonstop. I was going to try and be like, here's what it sounds like at WTRL headquarters. Yeah, but he stopped, of course, the moment I was going to bring him in. Carl off the front a little bit here. As he goes here, do you want to speak to the new AutoCAT system at all, Martin? And the change has been happening each week because I think the community, they've got all kinds of ideas about it, but just hearing it from the source is always the best way to go.
Yeah, AutoCAT has lots and lots of different settings. It doesn't work on watts per kilogram. I say many times, watts per kilogram is very unique to an individual. It's not a very accurate means to compare two riders. My watts per kilogram is different to yours. I will move at a different speed if I ride at the same watts per kilogram as you, because I have a different drag resistance. I have all sorts of other settings within the game that make a big difference. Watts per kilogram is great for training, but the settings we have, we can play with age, we can play with gender, we can play with body mass index. There's a whole ton of things, but ultimately, what moves you forward is energy, and that's your power. It doesn't really matter how many kilograms of your body produce X number of watts. So your nose doesn't exactly produce a great deal of power when you're riding a bike. So things like that.
Real quick question. The question about C0 is a new AutoCAD category. What was the idea behind adding the 0 instead of just putting it at 1? Is it because of the separation between male and female, or what was happening there?
No, the C0 has existed for the last couple of weeks. We used it as an open category to allow people to join who you have no event history, so to speak. That's one thing that AutoCAD does need. It does need to see you in events with other people to be able to figure out who you are and where you are. Riding randomly around Watopia doesn't really give any indication of what you're doing at effort. But no, C0 last week was an open category. This week we're using it for the much higher powered riders. Next week we might use it for something completely different.
It's a little bit more of a testing space. It sounds like a little bit more of a testing space.
Yeah, bit like having 7 test tubes. They're just the labels on the test tube. We don't tend to say to anybody outside of the working group what each test tube is and what the settings are for it, because the key thing for us is the feedback that comes back from the riders, how it felt. Ultimately some people are going to come back and say, well, I didn't win. Well, AutoCAD's not here to make you win, or AutoCAD is here to try and find a competitive race for you where you have a chance of winning. But like all sports, psychology, how you feel on the day, fitness, hydration, all of that stuff comes into play, and it's a lot more complicated when you've got some longer climbs in as well. A heck of a lot more complicated.
Interesting. Well, thanks, Martin. Thanks for the information and bringing it in there over at WTRL headquarters, as always. Working hard, clicking, clacking away there on the keyboard. That is Martin Crew, director over at WTRL. We've got the final couple of K here. 30 seconds still off the front. I think they've kind of given up the ghost. The towel's been thrown.
Yeah, Nathan, I got to go back to your earlier assessment. And yeah, thanks again, Martin, for all the incredible work that you do. I think that this man, you're right. He's not coming back, Nathan. I at this point now, he's got 2.6K, a little more than that. With that advantage, he's not showing any signs of weakening. You can just take a look at a really strong wattage cottage. Looks like he's going to win this race. Solo attack. I feel like he's validating my prediction.
This is the wheelhouse of a mountain biker too. I mean, you just kind of at a certain point set your pace and go, and just make it hard the whole time through. So exactly what he's doing here. And
it's going to be a field sprint, right?
Yeah, field sprint for second is what it is because of this move. And Veritas again putting themselves on the map. The Portugal team, new kids on the block. Watch out, ZRL season 4. As I have a feeling they are going to be a part of the conversation. My question is, where are they going to race? What are they going to focus on?
I don't know.
Are they going to focus on Americas, or are they going to focus on European? I wonder.
I don't know, but I tell you what, I have a feeling this will be similar to the Velocio story, or Next. Like they will be in the ZRL Premier within a couple of seasons, I would imagine. Certainly, all signs point that way.
Big gamble coming on in here. I think they'll be in the European, I would assume, but we'll see.
Yeah, European West is the most likely, right?
Mm-hmm. Brantes,
but you never do know.
The attacks are taking place here now. People trying and get away a little bit here. 38 seconds. They're not bringing anything back. Calcutta knows now at this point that he's not going to bring his teammate
they're racing
back.
For second.
Yeah, so they're racing for second. So he knows that
he's
that's
not chasing his
back.
teammate.
No,
good point, Nathan. No, I appreciate that. That's a big difference. He's not chasing his teammate now. He knows the gap is large enough. He's racing for the silver medal. Going 1-2 out here would be exceptional. That's for sure.
Oh, wow. Going straight to the back here. And we see, I got a little bit of a pause here. 1 second, everybody. Now it's back in. And 37 seconds. Our winner. You can almost see the finish banner at this point. 400 meters to go or so. 37 seconds back.
Viva Portugal.
TBE. So nice job to the Veritas rider here.
Wouldn't you say, Nathan, the see a bit of a clinic out here, stacking the front group with numbers. They help seal the back door, keep the speed high enough to launching this attack. And at this point now, Luis is in extremely good shape to post a big Zwift Classics win. Strong field, tough course. These are the sweet ones.
Yeah, solid ride here. Super, super solid ride. Love to see it.
It's a statement ride, to tell you the truth. Riding that group off your wheel, ooh la la.
To see if, I mean, that was made the move and nobody responded too. I mean, it was just kind of like, okay.
He took all the air out of our balloon. I was expecting another crazy finale here. This was as straightforward and it's easy to call. We don't need any back-end API.
No, it's just said and done. Just said and done. So
that's impressive. Viva Portugal. How about that, Nathan? That was something.
Now let's see how this ends up playing out for second place here. As Ordvik here now makes his way to the line here. Torre's now sitting in. He's got a good sprint. Zico's got a really good sprint, actually. So be on the watch out for this.
That's the green jersey with the V on the back, talking about Zico Torre. Here he goes, starting to ramp it up. There's the arch. These guys are all going to play.
Wow, this is right in the last. Yeah, this is really close to the line. Abrante's now coming over the top.
That's a real sprint.
No power up, though. Abrante's now 14 watts per kilogram. Got to come over the top, but the aero power is going to make it happen. Yeah, and it looks like it is going to be Abrante's.
Useless draft power up costs you. So that's a good example of gameplay, right? That if that was an aero helmet instead of a van, I think Abrante's gets it. Second, that is. Nobody was touching our man Luis today. A little bit of a replay.
Poor guy. He had the sprint.
He had Zippo.
He had a solid sprint and no power up. The drafting
That's
power
like an air sandwich, 2 pieces of bread with nothing in between it. Well, he had an air power up.
Abrantes, and Calcutta across the line. Latimer comes in for third, it looks like. Osler fourth. Torre holds on, it looks like, for fifth place, I think. We'll take a look at the results in just a moment here.
We'll get our results all queued up for you here. Thanks for joining us today, Nathan. Great racing. This Richmond course never disappoints. What have we got next week? What should I expect for Mirror in the Mountains, Nathan?
Oh, man. Mirror in the Mountains is going to be very, very tough. I mean, that's going to be one of the hardest.
It's a hard man's course.
Hard course. Yeah, I mean, so you don't see it a whole lot. I've done it once recently as a part of I did it once recently as a part of one of the challenges that were out there. Actually, Scotty Weiss and a few other big hitters showed up, and it was a very, very difficult day out on course. But, you know, the Mirror in the Mountain, you're doing, Dave, you're doing the reverse KOM of, so you start actually in Tempest Fugit's pens, taking immediate left into the springs, and right from the get-go, you're climbing into the reverse KOM of Titan's Grove, and that's really punchy and undulating. Then you descend, take a right-hand turn off toward Ocean Boulevard and Watopia Mountain, and they send you all the way to the radio tower. Then, after the radio tower, you descend, hit Ocean Boulevard again, and go right into a right-hand turn on the Tempest Fugit and right back into the springs, and you're back up the reverse KOM for a finish, actually. So it's the same finish that we saw in Season 1 of the Zwift Racing League, race number 1. Same finish, but not the same course. So definitely a puncher. I believe it was Pio Auto that took that one down, or was it in Short? Thrall, actually, I believe, was the rider who took that down. So interesting sprint, though. We saw Ollie Jones off the front.
Thomas Thrall, right.
Yeah. And we saw Ollie Jones give it a little bit of a go off the front, actually, going into the springs, which is a really good place to actually go because it is a false flat before you hit the springs. Because when you do make a move like that, you kind of want as much time, from bottom to top. If you're going to go bottom to top, right? Like if it's a, full gas 10-minute effort or something. And Jones almost stayed away. But at that level, very difficult to make it happen. So go ahead and take a look at our results here from the C0s. Here's the situation as they brought it to the line. This is the West CO, and 40 seconds is a huge gap here, Dave. Magales takes it down. Veritas here, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Portugal represent. Vladimir settling for fourth there. Osler coming on through for fifth. Zico Torre also out of Portugal. The team vegan there for sixth. Caleb Carl, good to see you back in the mix and healed up, racing with us and streaming. Absolutely awesome to see. And the community's super excited about that. I've seen lots of comments coming through. K Pool coming on through for eighth. It's going to be Fordvik there for ninth. And Andrew Gadda, good to see him in for 10th place. Well, it's a long day of streaming, Dave, and it's been absolutely awesome out here. If you do want to check out World of Zwift and you still have not done so, the Gontova situation is on camera, and Dave went and visited on over there, so go check that out, talking about her rowing experience and experience on Zwift. That is quite the talent up and coming there, Dave.
Yeah, a good example too of how in our ZRL racing, right? Sometimes riders really do come out of the woodwork on you, and Nadia was exactly that. She lives in a beautiful part of the country. It's funny. V Win, who was our guest on the second episode, over there in downtown Seattle, right where the Amazon headquarters are. It's just a different world on the other side of Lake Washington. So check out Nadia Gontova, and I can tip that our next guest is going to be in New York City. I'll leave it at that. But one of the racers that actually we've seen out on that Richmond course that we raced on today do some exceptional things. So I'm excited for not only your current guest, Nadia, but we've got great things to look forward to on World of Zwift. Always a lot of fun. OJ and yourself do a tremendous job. So extremely cool.
Give a quick shout out to the community and big thank you. We did pop over that 10,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. Staying steady over there. Absolutely awesome to see. We are also into that 3.8K over on Twitch. Try and bump over that 4K if we can. Hit that follow button on over there. Still going steady and strong on our platform. We started out mainly over on Facebook. So thanks everybody for doing all the support of the channel. Great to hit that 10K number. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back for the WTRL TTT coming up on Thursday. I think this Thursday, Martin had a little bit of suggestion. I think we might take it on. We're going to go across the categories as best as we possibly can and not focus mainly in on one with the little bit lower participation numbers here. We'll jump across and just try and get a little bit more breadth across all the categories as best we possibly can. Give an idea of where everyone's sitting through the time splits out on course as well. And then obviously next week, we're going to be right back in for the Mere and the Mountain. So thanks everybody for joining in, and check out WTRL.racing for all of the results and sign up for some more races and news. And we'll see you next week. As always, everybody, ride on.